Welcome to the Oak and Onion Board Game Podcast, where we discuss the modern board gaming hobby and other things we're currently nerding out about. I'm Chris.
And I'm Joel.
And we are here to remind you that whether across the country or across the table, the best things in life are enjoyed with friends. Today is May 4th, Star Wars Day, and on our very special episode, we'll wager our credits to identify Star Wars games based on BGG reviews. We'll use the Force to determine what games should get a Star Wars retheme, and we'll channel our midichlorians for a 3-2-1 Star Wars list of our favorite Star Wars media, both board games and otherwise. But first, let's break the Sith rule of two and introduce a very special guest for this episode, Mat Cousineau of the Dice Camera Action Podcast. Matt, it's great to have you on. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm not sure we have to break the rule of two, though, because technically the way it works is like somebody can come in, murder somebody, and then there would be two again. I think that's how the Sith lore works, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, typically that's right. I don't think that's the rule, but that's the way it plays out usually.
And I'll just throw in my 2 cents right now. Matt, I'll bond with you, and we can get
Oh,
Chris
wow.
It's been
The
decided.
bald sidekick has become the leader.
Now the apprentice has become the master.
Wait, I was the master before?
That's news to me.
Mm.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm honored to be your first ever guest on the podcast. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. For those who don't know me, I'm Mat Cousineau. I'm the host of Dice Camera Action. It's a mashup podcast about board games and movies. Each episode we review a board game, and then we also will talk about a movie that shares a theme with that board game. So those are two of my like passions. And both of the hosts on the Oak and Onion podcast are regular hosts on my podcast as well. So if you like these two goofballs, you can always come and listen to Dice Camera Action. You'll get some more doses of these guys. So I'm Mat Cousineau. I'm a late 30s, early 40s father of two. As a career, I'm an ambulance dispatcher. I have a lovely wife named Leanne, two boys, Charlie and Remy, who are 6 and 9. I'm passionate also about sports, mostly baseball and hockey. As a Canadian, that's a prerequisite. And as I mentioned before, movies is one of my major hobbies and passions as well. I'm an avid board game collector and player. Obviously, I'm the host of a podcast. I'm also a game designer. I designed and self-published a game called Kyperium. Feel free to look that up on BGG and at your local game stores. I guess that's kind of a summary of Mat Cousineau. Thanks for having me, guys.
My favorite part of that bio is how you describe your age as late 30s to early 40s. I'm going to start doing that.
It's accurate.
I'm late 30s to late 40s, somewhere in there. You
mid to late, somewhere. I'm in my 40s. Yeah.
I think, Joel, that'd be late 40s, early 50s in your
No.
Ooh,
I'm keeping late 30s.
Hey, I tease. I've got 3 weeks left in my 30s and I'm clinging tight, okay?
Well, pro tip, in a couple of weeks from now, you could start saying late 30s, early 40s,
Yeah, somewhere.
You decide. You decide.
Give or take.
Who's to know?
On a serious note, Matt, if I'm not mistaken, yes, you have published Kyperium, but you have another game that's in prototype phase that you've done some playtesting at conventions on. What was the name of that one?
Yeah, it's called Fermi Paradox. It's a trick-taking game with resource management and contract fulfillment. So it's on the trick-taking side, it's pretty straightforward. Must follow trick-taking, 4 suits, 1 to 12. But the hook of the game is that every time you play a card, it'll also potentially generate you some resources if you meet certain criteria. And then at the end of the round, you will use those resources to fulfill contracts. And the contracts are also on the trick-taking cards. So there's sort of a tension there of deciding which cards you're going to use for trick taking and which cards you're going to use for contracts. So yeah, we're probably on the last mile there for like tweaking and balancing and whatnot. And
It's
hoping
cool.
that the game sees the light of day at some point in the next year or two. That's typically how long things um, take to come to fruition in the design space. But yeah, it's fun. I've had a good time with it.
Oh, cool.
That
I
sounds
hope
cool.
it.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a few things about what we've been up to lately. Joel, you want to start off with yours?
Yeah, I finally have watched A Night of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO. Any either of you like Game of Thrones? Are you fans or opposed or where are
Big
I've
you?
big
never
fan of
watched any
was
of
a big
it.
fan of the show for a long time up until the last couple of seasons. Like I'm really enjoying House of the Dragon. The 2 seasons of that has been out, and I have not had a chance to watch Night of the Seven Kingdom yet. Although I hear it's like very different in tone, but in a good way. So maybe
It
you can tell us
is.
more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, you are pretty far away from some of the big political intrigue, right? Like it is a hedge knight who is not like a part of any house and kind of following him along as he is trying to compete in his first tournament is like basically the arc of the season, right? And there are a lot of twists and turns along the way. He gains a squire. He uh, has some intrigue with some of the other kind of knights who are there and maybe aren't taking him very seriously. He's kind of like a big oaf, but like a very sweet big oaf. And so it's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's as I said, not nearly the same sort of epic scale, but I think that's what's making it work right now is the last two series are epic scale, right? And this feels smaller, more personal, and it's also just really funny. And so we really enjoyed it. We tore through it pretty quick. The episodes are only 30 to 40 minutes. I think there's 7 or 8 of them, and that's it. But we're very happy with it and are looking forward to season 2. So, yeah, that's been our big watch this week.
Now, let me ask. I've never seen Game of Thrones episode. Don't know. I mean, I know loosely what all it's based on. For someone that knows nothing about it and hasn't watched any of it, would A Night of the Seven Kingdoms be a good show to watch, or do you need to watch everything else first to understand it?
Well, I think you could enjoy it just fine. They all 3 series take place during different time periods, so it's not like they're interconnected in terms
Okay.
of, "Oh, this character is gonna show up again." But the political houses, the families are gonna show up again and again, and so you might not have the same background of
Mhm.
who these people are, where, when the, Targaryens show up and things like that, like who they are. But I think you could enjoy it on its own merits. It just might have a little bit more depth when you're like, oh, this is several generations before Game of Thrones. These are the great 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 grandfathers and things of the characters from Game of Thrones and so on. So yeah, I think you could enjoy it
Gotcha. I was just
regardless.
curious.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think in the very first scene of the first episode, one of the characters says somehow Palpatine returned, and then so
It's
it's
wild.
weird, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not mixing our media here.
That's a great
Somehow.
crossover.
I figured I'm safe to make Star Wars jokes on this episode.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're here.
That being said, I haven't seen any of the episodes, but I hear that it's takes place in a completely different timeline, completely unrelated from like the popular Game of Thrones that we all know, and has a completely different tone, and
Yeah,
is more of a light comedy, and like not full comedy, but like it's a little sillier and whatnot. I feel like Star Wars could learn from that, because I'd love to see more stuff that's completely divorced of the main. Yeah, we can get into that further, but I just like this was a kind of an interesting comparison in that like this show is its own little thing and is completely disconnected from the rest and works and people like it.
yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
like to
don't
see
get me
more of that
started
from
on
Star
that
Wars.
because they gave us that and people crapped all
Yeah,
over it and got it canceled.
yeah,
And I'm still mad about it. So
yeah,
don't get me, I'll go too hard on that.
yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about it some more as we go and get into the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
What are you guys watching right now?
Sure, yeah. Recently I watched a movie called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Have you guys heard about this?
I've
I
heard
have,
of it.
yeah, I've heard of it, but I have
You
not
have?
watched
Okay.
it yet. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a must watch. It's so far it's my favorite movie of the year, and it like I would have to be blown away by 10 other movies for it not to be on my top 10 at the end of the year.
Mm.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it started as a web series called Nirvana the Band, and they were 10-minute episodes. And the whole premise of the show is these two idiots that are in their early 20s at the time, who are a band. One of them's a musician and the other one kind of just does spoken word stuff and maybe sings a little bit. We never really see them be a band. but but the whole idea is sort of like a Pinky and the Brains kind of like
Mhm.
setup, where each episode their whole goal is to play the bar called the Rivoli. And so they, instead of like, practicing and being a good band and then approaching the people, the owner, and saying like, hey, can we play, they try to come up with these huge harebrained silly plans to like force the Rivoli into to like booking them
Mhm.
so that they could
That's
play
funny.
at this bar. And the part of the joke is that this bar is not like this like really like big important like place that people play. It's just like a hole in the wall bar that bands play at, like normal bands. But anyways, each episode they like, the guy brings out his whiteboard and they like, he makes a plan. He's like, we're gonna do this and that, and then like ultimately it's like these big elaborate plans that never come to fruition.
Sure.
So there's like, I don't know, 8 or 10 web series episodes, and then they got picked up by Vice, and then they actually had a show, a half-hour show, which they did 2 seasons of, and that was called Nirvana the Band the Show. And now I think 17 years later, since like from the time they started the web series, they have Nirvana the Band the Show the movie. um
It's wild.
so just the title and that explanation of what the show is gives you an idea of the tone of the comedy. It is these two dudes, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrow, who are just super lovable, charismatic, funny guys that you immediately fall in love with, and you just can't get enough of watching them on screen. It's a weird mix of like, improv comedy and sketch comedy, and like, has some of that Pinky and the Brain DNA from the like repetitive kind of like trying to do a thing. And it has a little bit of like a Borat kind of thing before Borat was Borat.
Mm.
But basically they go into the public and they, as part of their plans of trying to do this thing, and they interact with the public, they interact with people.
Hmm.
And they don't do it in a mean way or whatever. It's always like in a fun kind of like light-hearted, interesting way, and people laugh at them and then they just like move on and whatever. And it's a ton of fun, and the movie is that, but just with a bigger budget. And what they pull off in the movie is insane and wild. And if you get a chance to watch it after the fact, go and watch some of the like how it was done on YouTube,
Mhm.
and how they pulled off what they pulled off. And I'll just say it's my favorite movie of the year so far, and I'd be very surprised if it wasn't still at the end of the year. Mind you, the slate of movies this year is kind of bonkers, so maybe I'll eat my words there.
That's fair.
Um,
Now,
anyways, yeah, go ahead.
should you watch any of the web series and the show before watching the
No, you don't
movie?
need to at all, at all. No,
Okay.
like I watched the movie first before I saw anything. I only
Okay.
found out about these guys through the movie, and the movie completely works. And in fact, they have said in interviews and stuff that the movie is sort of the best way to go into it.
Okay.
And then when you watch the web series and or the TV show, there's a lot of like callbacks and things that would just be bonus and be like, oh, cool, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would honestly, I wouldn't hesitate to watch the movie first. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Chris, you're very concerned about homework for these things that we're bringing up here. Do you have some concerns after watching so much Marvel that you're like,
No,
I
no, no,
got to
no.
know
What
everything
what
before
hurt
I
you?
before I can
What
enjoy
what hurt
it?
you?
I just like
What
to.
show or movie hurt you, Chris?
Okay, counseling moment for Christopher. I'm a completionist. And I like to approach media in a complete manner in the proper order. Okay. So I just like to know if I mean, I want to watch the movie based on your explanation or recommendation alone, because if Matt recommends it, I watch it and enjoy it. That's the way it goes. uh, he knows when I'm listening to his podcast because I'll message him and be like, dude, that movie was so good. um,
Which happens almost on a weekly basis at this
yeah,
point.
almost.
Except for
But
the episodes I'm on where we notoriously watch the bad movies. So
Right.
Island of Dr. Moreau, it's
yeah,
Yeah.
bad stuff.
hey, it could have been Face Off. But I don't know. I
Face Off
just
is
like.
great, and you wash your mouth out.
How much would you judge me if I told you I've never seen it, Joel? Or would you be not surprised at all?
Not at all surprised.
um,
For
no, I just like to.
1997, it was amazing. That's all I'm
It
saying.
was.
Fair enough.
It was.
I just like to know for stuff like that, right? Like, because if you would miss out on the point of the movie without watching the web series, I would want to watch the web series first. And it's good for the listeners to know. So, that's it. That's all.
True man of
No,
the people.
nothing hurt me. I just. Well, cool. Yeah, that sounds like something I definitely want to check out. For me, I've got two things that I've watched recently. And the first thing is Black Phone. I finally got around to watching that. Joel and I've
Oh,
talked
nice.
about it recently, and uh, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It, in the beginning, it looked like a very stereotypical, like, kidnapper. I don't want to say like torture, but kidnapper keeps a kid in a basement prisoner. Thankfully, there was nothing like weird or sexual because that would have gotten turned off really quickly with my wife. So, um, but the way it played out once it got to the big moment was very different after that. And like what
Hmm.
seemed like it was going to be a standard movie brought a supernatural element that I wasn't expecting. And
Yeah.
uh it was kind of billed as horror. It wasn't really that scary. There were a couple of moments that were like, "Oof, didn't see that coming." And just the way it played out and revealed the information, culminating in like the big climax of the movie, was really cool. And I really appreciated the pacing of the story and the way they triggered the climax to really tie everything together. And of course, it was an emotional ending, and it was just I thought it was really good. And Ethan Hawke, everything I've seen him in lately, especially, he's been brilliant. And I feel like
Yeah. He's so
he's
good.
gotten even better in the last 5 to 10 years. And so I really enjoyed his performance. And I thought the kids that were in it were fantastic too, like the brother and sister, the main characters. And so I really enjoyed that. And the other thing I watched was Cruel Summer season 2 specifically. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's on Hulu. It was a
Haven't heard of this at
freeform
all.
show. It's a little teen soapy at times, but the mystery and the way they revealed the plot points and showed you what happens at the end of the first episode, and a character dies, comes up dead. And the whole rest of the show is explaining how it got to that point. And literally until the very end of the finale, you don't know what happened. And
Mm.
so like the final episode, you're just like, holy cow, this is crazy. And then the very end, you're like, what? And then it's credits and the season's over. And so what makes it really interesting is the whole season, and it's kind of billed as an anthology. There was a season 1, but it just started playing season 2. It's a completely different story, but kind of follows a similar structure where the whole story takes place in 3 time periods.
Mm.
So, and each one of them, at the beginning of the show, each episode, it'll label each one. But what was really cool from a technical standpoint is the main characters had different hairstyles and clothing styles, and the footage was a different color temperature for each of the 3 time periods. So there
Yeah.
were
Oh,
some
that's
really
cool.
cool visual cues to let you know. So it wasn't as confusing as it could have been.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was a little teen drama, teen soapy at a couple points, but the story was interesting enough, and it was one of those like I've got to know what happens. And each episode kind of ended on a cliffhanger. And so, like, well, I got to keep watching. I got to find out what happens. And so it was really interesting. And I kind of want to go back and watch season 1, especially because some of the reviews online indicate that people liked it better.
Hmm.
and so I've got to see and compare it for myself. But if you like those like weird timeline murder mystery type things, give it a shot. I mean, it's 10 episodes, it's like 40-minute episodes, so it's not a huge buy-in. It's just one season, so but
That
I
sounds
enjoyed it.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I'd
was
like
neat.
that. Noticing though that your completionist tendencies did not come into play here. You were happy to watch season 2 before season 1.
Well, I didn't know I was
Ah.
watching
So it
season
was
2.
accidental.
We watched something, I don't remember what it was. We watched a movie or something on Hulu, and when it ended, it just recommended that and auto played the first episode. And
Gotcha.
so I didn't know it was season 2 until after the first episode. But when I realized that and I read that it was an anthology and the stories are completely different,
Yeah, it doesn't
it
really
didn't
matter.
matter as much. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
If you are a
but
completionist, obviously you'll have to watch Black Phone 2, which is
yes,
also really
Yeah.
solid. Less unique and kind of the Black Phone 1 is fairly unique in what it's doing.
right.
The Black Phone 2, I want to say, is like less unique, but it's an escalation in terms of like the scope of the
Yeah.
movie, and the budget was an escalation too, and that shows on screen. Um, Really solid. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I liked it as much as Black Phone 1, but like, it's in the neighborhood. It's still really solid.
It may be recency bias, but I feel like I liked it a little more than Black Phone 1.
I
Ooh,
can see
Partly
that.
because
interesting.
I
of
could see that.
part
Yeah.
part of it was what you were talking about with Cruel Summer, the way we use the different types of
Yeah.
footage and things in order to indicate different things happening, right? I really enjoyed that. I think I talked about that already on an earlier episode, so I don't want to
Yeah.
belabor the point. But yeah, keep
I
keep
will
going with that
add
series.
I will add real quick with Black Phone. One of the things that I really appreciated about it is um I watching it, I want to know who the grabber is, and I want to
Hmm.
know his backstory, and I want to know what's going on with him. But then after like the whole movie, I'm like, are they going to show us who he is? Are they going to tell us why he's like this? And then at the end of the movie, I was kind of sad that it didn't. But then as a little bit of time went on, I was like, well, I actually like that. I'm glad it didn't because it made it more mysterious and it made the story better, in my opinion, to not reveal everything.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
sometimes a bad guy can just be a bad guy. We don't need to know why. Even though we want to know why, it's okay not to. So,
yeah. Well, without spoiling too much, you will get some of that in Black Phone too.
okay,
But it's I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot.
that's good.
So yeah. You guys playing anything?
Yeah. I literally last night got back from 3 days in Hamilton, Ontario for an event called Canada Plays put on by Asmodee.
Cool.
And it's an industry trade show, so it's not open to the public. It was primarily for retailers, distributors, and publishers. And I think the main idea is for distributors slash publishers to go and show off all of their games to retailers so that they're more prepared to like sell their games and order their games and know what they're getting, and that kind of thing. So because I'm perpetually at my FLGS and have befriended the owner there, he invited me to this event, because obviously, I'm a content creator and a game designer, and I'm involved in the industry in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, I got to go to that and bump elbows with a whole bunch of people, including Canadian royalty, Randy Smith, Rodney Smith. Sorry, get his name
I
wrong.
was
Good
like, I
job.
don't know Randy Smith. Hold on.
No, me
not
neither.
not so royal now, I guess.
It's his brother. It's his brother, his less known brother.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. He teaches people how to play video games. So yeah. So yeah, I got to meet Rodney Smith, which is really cool.
That is
And
cool.
yeah, meet a bunch of publishers and make a lot of connections and stuff like that. So it's a great weekend. But as part of the swag bag that they gave away, which was a huge box of like 15 games.
oh wow.
So yeah, I was like, whoa, really? I get to take this home. This is amazing. Um, so part of that was a game called DN Up. So the letters D, like as in Delta, and as in November, DN Up. Have you guys heard of this game?
Yeah, I had a chance to play it
You did? Okay, awesome.
at PAX, and yeah, I'm excited to hear you talk about it.
It's really cool. Yeah,
It's great.
I didn't realize it. Like we sat down and one of the salespeople from Asmodee was teaching the game, and so we're playing the game, and he's kind of showing us how it works. And the cards are two sided. So on one side of the card, or sorry, I guess the top side of the card, as your cards are splayed, might be like a three, and then if you flipped it upside down, it would be a one or a five or something different. If that sounds
Mm,
familiar, it's very similar to in terms of like the card construction or graphic design. It's a little bit similar to Scout, and
mhm.
come to find out it's the same designer. So I'm like, oh,
Okay.
okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's sort of a little bit like Scout, but it is shedding, but it's not necessarily always ladder climbing. So the
Mm,
way it works is you'll play a meld, and it can only be sets. So you'll play a set of one to whatever amount of cards, and then the next person, if they beat that, you have to pick it back up into your hand. But anytime a card comes off the table, you have to spin it to its other side. So sometimes I'll play a card, like I have two threes in my hand, and I have this one in my hand, but the other side of the one is a three. So I'll place it knowing that somebody's going to probably beat it, and then I'll get to take it back into my hand, and now I have a set of three threes. So there's a little bit of strategy around that. But you also like the next person. If I played a one, the next person doesn't have to play a single card. If they play a pair or three of a kind or four of a kind, etc., then my card just sits on the table.
mm,
It doesn't move. So it's almost like every different meld that's on the table is its own sort of almost mini game.
Mhm,
So the next person, if they play a single card, well then I would have to pick up my card. So it's a lot more interactive in the way that if I beat your meld, you have to pick yours up. But the next person doesn't have to pick theirs up if it, because there can only be one type of meld on the table at a time. You can't play. I couldn't like if you played a 10, I couldn't play a 9. I can't play under your card. So it is a little bit of ladder climbing in that way. It's a little bit similar to Scout, but it's a little bit of an easier teach, and it's I find more interactive because the things that I can
mhm,
do on my turn is I can either play a meld that's not already on the table, play a meld that beats a meld that's already on the table. I can play a single card into somebody else's meld. So if you have three threes on the table and I have a single three in my hand, I can play it into yours. Or as my turn, I could just flip my hand to the other side if that's going to be
mm.
more advantageous for me. So those are the things that you can do. And then if you shed out first, you get 2 points. The second person gets 1 point, and then first person to 4 points wins. So it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I think I just explained all of the rules in like
yeah.
a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But it's like, yeah, similar to Scout, a little bit different in the way that the melds work, but more interactive. And I think a little bit easier for people to like grok if when they're learning it.
Yeah, it's super fun. It was we also played it at like an Asmodee event where they showed us several different games and things, and it was one of our favorites of that whole day. Like very cool. Like you said, it's very familiar things going on in it, and yet like I don't know, it was we probably laughed the most around the table because you're like making other people pick stuff up or I don't know. It's
Yes.
great. Really liked it.
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah, and
sounds
you
interesting.
yeah, you could also pick up somebody else's meld. I thought that was really interesting, and I realize I'm going back into like rules things here, but it's just that's a really interesting thing about this game is if you have, three threes out there, I can just literally, as my turn, reach across the table, pick up your three threes, and put it in my hand. Though
Mhm.
again, anytime a card comes off the table, it has to get flipped to the other side. So you're looking at the cards that aren't being used in your meld, like or the numbers on the cards that aren't being used in your meld. So I thought that was really interesting too, because if your cards work really well with my hand, I might just pick them up.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I love Scout, so it definitely seems intriguing, and I'd like to try that for sure.
Yeah. After like 2 or 3 plays now, because I played it with my kids today. I want to say I don't think it replaces I don't think it replaces Scout yet. I don't think it would do that. It plays differently and enough that I think there's probably still a spot in the collection for both.
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure.
Um, I'll go next here. And this is kind of crazy, but we love Carcassonne still. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I've moved on from it." Whatever. I still think it's a great game, and it's gonna stay on our collection for a long time. And we've collected all of the like updated version expansions that are available, which is 9 expansions, and we've wanted to play a big mega game with all the expansions included at some point.
Mm.
Well, our 15-year-old, who I've talked with Joel about this, he's not always interested in playing games these days, and it has to be something he really wants to play or is interested in. So Saturday we were talking about playing a game, and he said, "We haven't played Carcassonne in a long time, and I haven't played the newer expansions that we got." And I said, "Well, let's play." And he was like, "Have we ever played with all the expansions?" And I was like, "No, mom and I have talked about it, and we've wanted to for a couple of years now, but we never have." And so we had to find a like a shoulder bag that could hold all of the tiles because there's so many of them. And so we and I had to read through all the expansion rules because it there a couple of them we'd only played once, and it had been so long since we'd played some of them. We had to like rehash all the rules and get it all set up and ready. And I think it took about 3 hours to play it, which is absolutely ridiculous for a game of Carcassonne. And most people are like, absolutely not. I'll pass on that. But it was it was a blast, and I'm glad we did it because we've wanted to do it for so long. And Joel, Caitlin, and I may need to call you at some point because there may have been some tense moments in that game of Carcassonne where my wife looked at me and said some choice words because I chose to target her, and she got real mad. I thought she was about to walk away from the table. I was like, "Oh dang!" uh,
That's when you know you're doing it right.
My couch and notepad are ready for you, Chris.
okay,
Whenever,
well, we'll
whenever
set
you
up a
want.
time. Yeah, we'll set up a time and we'll do a video call there. I love that this is just a running joke we have now about Joel being my marriage counselor. But no, it was all good. After the fact, I was like, "Hey, don't be mad at me." She's like, "It's fine." I just got really mad in the moment because she still ended up winning by a lot, so that definitely helped her feel better. But yeah, it was fun. It took way too long and it took forever to get into it, but we all had a blast. And our 15-year-old even was like, "I would totally do this again." I was like, "I would too, maybe next year." Like I'm not looking to do it again tomorrow, but yeah, it was fun. And it was funny. I texted Kyle about it and I sent him a picture, and his immediate response was like, "Too much." That's all he said, which is pretty on brand for him. So um I know
Yeah, if you
playing
ever
all
ask me
nine.
to play a 3-hour game of Carcassonne, I'm gonna tell you to go fly a kite, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It could have played faster too. We got snacks and had to deal with
Sure.
dogs and other kids in the middle of the game. But we also weren't in a hurry. We weren't doing anything that day, so we just were kicking back and having a good time with it. So
Cool.
not something everybody would be into, but I'm glad we did it finally. So
That's how we often are on game nights at our house. Like Amelia loves being a hostess as much as she enjoys the game, and so we have a pretty slow pace when we play games.
yeah,
Like we do a lot of chatter, we do a lot of like getting
Nothing wrong with that.
snacks and things like that. So yeah, I think that sounds like a fun time. I think
yeah.
I
And
think
this is
we'll
where
do
I
it.
say that doesn't surprise me after having played games with Amelia.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
You know her priority is the conversation, not necessarily the game.
See the
Though
first game I ever played with her, where her and I were just having a good time chatting while you and Caitlin were focused on the game and kicking both of our butts. So, oh, that
that's
was a
right,
night I'll never forget. That was great. We were
for
up way
sure.
too late playing SETI, but it was fun. And here we are now, a year and a half later.
That's right.
Well, Joe, what have you been playing?
Um, I'll hit one just real quick, but I'm sure I'll be talking about it more in the future. I've gotten back into Arkham Horror, the living card game, and I just love that game. It's one of my favorites. One of the games that really kind of got me into the hobby, and I'm really enjoying the kind of chapter 2 reboot they're doing. I know there's a lot of longtime fans who are not happy with it, but I feel like the game has been around long enough that a little bit of a refresh and a reset is a really nice thing. And so I'm coordinating that with a couple different friends, starting to get some plays going of it, and also just on my own and things. And I think I'm going to start a little series on TikTok, kind of going through
Mhm.
like how to play it. What is this game? How do you like get into it if you're intimidated by kind of what it is as a for some people it's very much a lifestyle game, right? Like it's the game they play.
Yeah.
And it's obviously not the only game I play, but I think it's got a lot of I come back to it again and again. So I'm
Mhm.
really enjoying that and liking what they're doing right now. So that's
That's
one
good.
I've been like back on board for. But the one I wanted to talk about a little bit more was Fate of the Fellowship. I finally got to the table, and when we did our list a couple weeks ago or I guess just last week, right, of
Mhm.
the Golden Geek Awards, I hadn't played it, and it was on a ton of categories, and now I have played it, and I understand why it's on a ton of categories. It's a
That's good.
really fun game. We had a
Yeah.
great time. Uh, we lost. We got Frodo to Mount Doom and did not have enough hope left to survive the rolls. You have to kind of roll a bunch of dice at the end, and you need to be in a position that you can handle some negative effects. And we
Mm.
thought we had it. I'd been rolling well all day, and then I rolled like as bad as I could roll, basically.
Oh,
And so,
geez. As
so
you
we weren't,
do.
yeah. But like, it didn't even matter, right? Like, it was exciting the entire time, an exciting finish. It just didn't go our way. So I loved it. I'm really excited to
That's
play that a
good.
lot more because there's a ton of variability in the box. Also, you can each game you have like 4 missions you have to complete. One of them is always destroying the ring, and then there's a stack of probably 15 or 20 other missions, and you choose 3 of them. And so every game is going to play out a little bit different. Some missions require certain characters to be in the game. Some require different types of feats or defeating different groups or clearing the shadow forces out of different areas. And so I think no 2 games are going to feel exactly the same. So I'm really happy with it, and I'm excited about that one for sure. So
That's
yeah,
good.
it was a good time.
Now let me ask, you mentioned Mount Doom and destroying the ring. Are those important things in the game?
Chris, just because this is a Star Wars episode doesn't mean you have to completely spit in the face of every other fandom and
I
remind us that you hate dragons, hate Lord of the Rings, and hate all things fantasy,
Have you
right?
these are
Like,
seen Lord of the Rings even?
these are things that have never come out of my mouth.
Oh
I would
my
just like to
god.
iterate. Matt, to catch you up, I saw the original 3 movies out of order 20
Okay.
years ago
Yeah.
and didn't understand them. I don't remember anything about them. I didn't really get it at the time, and I wasn't really into, like, fantasy,
This
super
all
nerdy
sounds
things.
familiar. You must have talked about it on the podcast already. Yeah. Now that
Oh,
you're
he
saying
does
it.
listen. You passed the test, Matt.
Yeah. You don't remember the scene where Frodo like comes out of, his little hobbit hole and then says somehow Palpatine returned?
I think I heard that joke already. Uh, no, I just had to tease you, Joel, because I really don't know that much about Lord of the Rings, so but at some point this year, you have my word, I will rewatch those movies, and then we will talk about them, because I know I
excellent.
will appreciate them more at this point in my life than I did 20 years ago, so,
You're gonna love them. They're super fun, and
yeah.
They're a great
yeah,
time,
it's
yeah.
a good time. I
I
think
do
I
wanna
think
give
you will
a
enjoy it.
I do want to shout out Joel's social media account right here, because if you're not following him at the Diced Onion on TikTok and Instagram, go look him up and check out the video he did and the sweet, huge freaking playmat he has for this game, because it's like a whole table of the map of Middle Earth. Is it the whole Middle Earth or is it a specific part of it? I don't know.
I don't even know either. I mean, I'll admit that my Lord of the Rings knowledge basically begins and ends at the movies. Like I
Oh,
have
okay.
read most of the series, but it didn't quite grab me, and I'm hurting my own geek cred here. It didn't quite grab
Hey,
me in the way it did for a lot of people, but I
I
love the
hear his writing
movies.
is hard, so
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that playmat is massive and it's freaking cool looking. So
So one of the major complaints about Fate of the Fellowship was that the board is very small and crowded, and there are a lot of different types of forces, and you have like minis that are the smallest minis I've ever seen. Like imagine a tiny cube on the game in a normal game, and then
They're
carve
like
a
hobbit
mini out of
sized.
it. Yes, and so even on the huge map, right? It feels appropriate because it feels epic and the scale of the map feels right. Whereas on the smaller map, you're like constantly knocking things over, and it just feels overly crowded and stuff. So yeah,
okay.
I bought that from Grip Mats on Etsy. And I recommend it if you are a fan of this game and feel like it's going to be one that you're going to be playing consistently through the next 5-10 years. It's worth the investment in it. It's beautiful, and it really does make it feel epic in scope.
Nice. Grip mats, not a sponsor. But if you're listening, reach out to us.
Not a sponsor yet.
Yet. All right. Well, that is what we have had going on as far as what we're watching and what we're playing. We are going to get into our Star Wars conversations, but we've got a couple of other things to take care of first. And first up is something that neither Joel nor Matt are prepared for because I wanted it to be a surprise because I didn't want them to come prepared for it.
Oh
But
no.
we, my friends, are going to do a Mad Lib for our Star Wars
Oh
episode.
boy. Oh no.
So I hope you're ready to give me
you
some fun words to
you
make what
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, you little sneak. You putting
I
stuff in here without telling
well,
us.
I wanted it to be a surprise because I didn't want you to come mentally prepared for certain words. So,
All right.
um, what we'll do is we'll bounce back and forth, and I'll tell you the word category, whatever I don't know English terms apparently. I'll give you what I need, and we'll take turns. So, who wants to go first?
I think we should let our guest take it.
Okay, I'm down with that.
I feel like
So,
I feel like I might embarrass myself here. My first language is French. And
oh,
so through all of school, when I learned things like nouns and verbs and adverbs, and there's another one. See, it's like it's happening already.
yeah.
Like adjectives, like I might have to take a moment to like place
That's fair.
what some of these things mean in English.
Well, lucky for you, we have an English teacher
Yes, I was
on the
just
phone
that's
call.
part of why I'm
So,
like I'm gonna embarrass myself here.
all right. Uh,
Now,
okay. So,
Chris, are we giving you Star Wars terms, or are you or just
It'll be
giving
a Star
giving
Wars
you whatever you
story
want?
that will like
yes, it is
we'll
going to
Okay,
be a
got it.
story about Star Wars that you are going to give me the words to fill in the blanks. So,
Okay.
first up, Mr. Cousineau, I need an adjective.
let's go with sparkly.
Joel, give me a noun.
Let's go with feather.
Matt, give me another adjective.
Harry.
Joel, give me a noun that's a place.
A noun that's a place, like a proper noun type thing, or just
It
any
says
place.
noun semicolon place.
Bathroom.
Matt, sorry, you got to give me another adjective.
You just want adjective. This is gonna you're actually helping me here because now I don't have to think about it too much.
Well, that'll change after the next one.
Okay. Let's go with crowded. I don't know if that'll work.
Crowded. Joel, you get to give me an adjective.
Let's go with floppy.
Oh, yes. Matt, give me a plural noun that is a vehicle.
Plural noun that's very specific. Okay. Let's go with jetpacks. They fly now.
Hey, Boba Fett flies. He's got a jetpack. Joel, another adjective.
Mysterious.
Matt, another adjective.
Reflective.
Joel, give me a plural noun.
Buffalo, which is the plural of buffalo.
You don't have to tell me that. I live in Oklahoma.
Apparently, there's a legit sentence that is just buffalo, I think 7 times, like buffalo, 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 something, something. It's just
Yeah.
buffalo a bunch of
That's
times.
wild.
Yeah.
All right. We're back to Matt. You get another adjective.
Long bearded.
Ooh. Joel, another plural noun.
Tomes.
Tomes?
Tones, like books.
Okay. Yeah,
Tomes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The ancient texts.
Exactly.
Matt, another plural noun.
And it doesn't have to be a vehicle this time.
No, just
Uh,
just a
Unless you
general
want it
plural
to
noun.
be.
let's go with thong sandals.
Thong sandals. Oh, I got a funny story about that. Joel, give me an adjective.
Opalescent.
Opalescent. Probably did not spell that right, but it's okay. Matt, give me a noun.
Um, Palpatine, because somehow he returned. So here he is.
I feel like episode 9 hurt you.
Oh, yeah. Let's not.
Joel, give me
We'll
a
probably
verb.
get to that.
um, Flash.
Okay, Matt, another adjective.
Bald.
Wait a minute.
Joel, give me a verb.
Posed.
Matt, give me a plural noun.
Rathtars.
Don't know how to spell that. It's okay. Joel, give me a type of job.
Garbage man.
Okay. Matt, another adjective.
Non-opalescent.
I feel personally attacked.
Okay. Uh, okay, we got one more for each of you. Joel, give me a verb.
Rise.
May not make grammatical sense. We'll see when we get there. Okay, Matt, and to close it all out, give me one more adjective.
Anti-constitutional.
All right, so stick around till the end of the episode if you want to hear stories about the Star Wars universe crafted by our very own Joel and Matt. All right, before we dive further into the Star Wars content, we want to give Matt a little bit more of a chance to introduce himself as a gamer. And we've asked him, like we did in the first episode of the show, to bring 3 games that define him as a gamer and why those games are so special to him. So, Matt, why don't you give us a little insight into who you are as a board gamer?
Yeah, so as a board gamer, I'm a very social person, and so I like games where I get to interact with people. That being said, I don't like social deduction games or because as I was saying that, I'm like, it sounds like I'm going towards social deduction and that kind of thing. But no, I love my game to be on the table. A little bit
Okay.
above the table, is fine. I like a little bit of negotiation in that in my games, but I don't like a game to be all negotiation or all social deduction. I like that stuff sprinkled in. What I really like is for like one of the main things I love about board gaming is the opportunity to feel smart, the opportunity to pull things off that are fun and impressive, and whether it's combos or whether it's pre-planned, you do things over the course of a bunch of turns, and it's very satisfying to like achieve something, right? And I
Yeah.
love seeing that in others as well. So that's part of like the whole interaction thing is like when it's not my turn, I want to be invested and pay attention to what my opponents are doing, and I want to see them do cool things and be like excited
Mhm.
about them feeling smart and them achieving things as well. So those are two things that I love about board games is the ability to interact with others, again mostly on the table. And I'm also very much an includer. I want to make sure that everybody at the table is having fun. My whole life I've always been like a person to invite more people and just like come along with us and join us and it'll be fun. And I'm like often the person who's trying to make sure that everybody's having a good time. And so it's interesting because like a lot of times when I say that I love high interaction games, people immediately assume that I want to hurt people at the table in the gameplay. I want to play war games. I want stuff that's full of take that. I want to target people. Not necessarily the case at all. I do enjoy that in certain capacities. I do enjoy that a lot more in a two-player game. So in a two-player game, I feel like there's only one person to target, and so if a two-player game is full of take that, I think that's a ton of fun because we're just swinging at each other and it's a good time. When it's multiplayer games with a lot of take that, that's when people start feeling targeted.
Yeah.
um and if it's me feeling targeted, I feel bad. If I target somebody, I feel bad for them. And when I see somebody else being targeted by somebody else, I because I'm an includer and I want to make sure everybody's having fun, I feel bad for that person, and now multiple
Hmm.
people are not having a good time. And so for that reason, I'm not a huge fan of war games or area control games where you could end up, being cornered or being attacked or being ganged up on and that sort of thing. So those are some of the big pieces of what represents me as a gamer. And so I came up with three games that I think are highly interactive, have lots of opportunities to make you feel smart, and lots of opportunities to affect other people and be involved with what other people are doing, without necessarily like kicking down their sandcastle, right?
Yeah.
So Dune Imperium Uprising is my favorite game of all time. And Dune Imperium was my favorite game of all time until Uprising came out, and that's kind of taken its place. I love that game. There's just like the opportunity to like build your deck out, and um, the conflicts obviously are super highly interactive. It's worker placement, which inherently has a ton of interaction. Where I'm like taking the spot maybe that you want to go to. The nice thing with Uprising is the introduction of spies. I won't go into it, but it does create a little bit more opportunities for you to not only feel smart but also not get locked out of certain areas. And I love sci-fi. Like sci-fi is by
Hmm.
far my favorite genre of game, and movies. So
I
it
never
kind
would
of
have
just
guessed that.
yeah, it kind of just fits all of my favorite things, right? Like worker placement might be my favorite mechanism. I love deck building as well. That's super fun. And obviously, Dune Imperium Uprising is super interactive, where we're all competing in these conflicts, but it's not area control where I'm going to take over an area or take over something that you've been working on. It's like we're just going to compete over a thing and see who gets it at the end of the round.
Mm.
Who can do it, and then you don't even have to be involved in the conflicts to do well in the game as well. At least not every single round.
I've never played Uprising. I've played just Dune Imperium a lot. Is it a significant upgrade for you, I guess, if it's replaced the original and is your favorite game?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think people have said like original Imperium with Rise of Ix is their favorite, and I can totally see that. That makes a lot of sense. The big piece that I feel like they really like they cleaned up and fixed some of the minor issues with some of the worker placement locations and the board. They've kind of leveled things out in terms of like you in the original game you needed certain amount of influence with like one faction to go to a
Mhm.
specific place. Now there's that for all four factions. There's a space
Gotcha.
that you can go to, but you need X amount of influence first. So it's kind of like they've done a really good job just balancing things a little bit more. Um, and the big piece that I think they really nailed with Uprising is that there are no boring cards. The deck building is a lot more interesting. The card market is a lot more interesting. Very few times will you look at that card market and be like, there's not really much that I want here. They're just the cards are way more interesting, and I find that there's way more avenues that you can go down strategically, or like if I want to go down the path of like really leaning on Fremen stuff, or really
Right.
leaning on combat, which is often a Fremen thing, or do I really want to lean into spies and Bene Gesserit stuff, which is spies and deck culling, like trashing cards and keeping your deck tighter. So there's just like more lanes you can go down with the deck building in Uprising.
So it almost sounds like it really is like a second edition where they cleaned up and refined the game.
Yeah,
Would
that's
that be
that's
kind
how
of
I feel
accurate?
about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I
and
knew it
it's
was very
still
similar to the original, but I never knew exactly what the difference was.
yeah, mechanically, it's very, very similar. They've added a handful of small things like spies, for example. Each location is connected to like a spot where you can place a little cylinder, which are spies. If you get and it's just an ability that you can get through locations, through cards, etc. If you see this little icon with that cylinder on it, you can place out a spy. So you put a spy that's connected to sometimes one, two, or three locations, and then it does one of two things. If I go to that location and nobody else is there, I have the option to lift my spy and draw a card. So take my spy out of there and draw a card.
Okay.
Or the other purpose that it serves is that if somebody's already there and I want to go there, I can if I have a
Mm,
spy there. So I can go there, share a space with somebody, and then remove my spy.
Interesting.
So it gives you a little bit more flexibility, but you got to work for it and you got to plan ahead, which is great. There's like a cost to that ability of that flexibility, right? I've mentioned it on my podcast before, but I feel like there's a lot of modern games that have sort of watered down the worker placement mechanism, where like a lot of modern games now is like, yeah, 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 you could still go there. I know there's somebody there already, but you could still go there. You just got to give them a coin, or you just have to like whatever, right? So
Hmm.
that's a very, very, or you just bump them. And now they
yeah.
have they have their worker back, which is there's nothing wrong with that inherently, and I do enjoy some games that do that. But I just feel like that's something that's coming more and more and more into board gaming, where there's like the teeth are often getting taken out of it. And Dune
Hmm.
Imperium, I find, splits the difference there really, really nicely, where it's like most of the time you still can't go there. If you do, there's enough of a. It's not just a cost of like I gotta pay something now. I had to have pre-planned that. I had to have put a spy there already to like reserve a space to make sure that I could still go there. So I find that they've
Hmm.
done a really good job of kind of splitting that difference.
That's
Interesting.
cool. Yeah. I like that. And I like how that fits into your kind of gamer persona also, where, as you said, you're looking for tough competition, but not feel bad competition. And
Yeah, it's
that
a bit
seems to
of
be doing it.
it's almost a bit of like a very fine like
Yeah.
slice of games, right? And I like games that are completely non-interactive. They just have to be doing something really fun and interesting for me, right? They have to compensate in other ways and really make me feel smart, right? Or you know, find other ways for me to care about what my opponents are doing, or if they're just not long, right? If they're under
Yeah.
an hour, I don't really care that much if I don't, but I just don't want to sit down and play a 2 3 hour game where I'm like not paying attention to what my
Hmm.
opponents are doing at all.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
that often like, you know, if I find myself sitting on my phone because it's not my turn, which sometimes just happens, like because I'm sitting there waiting and all of a sudden my phone's in my hand and I'm scrolling the diced onion.
Well, in
Yeah,
that case,
anyways.
keep your phone in your hand.
No big deal there.
So the other game I want to bring up is Bus, which
Hmm.
is a Splotter game from 1999. I think they recently
Yeah.
had a reprint and a re-release a couple of years ago, and that's when I discovered this game and I fell in love with it immediately. Again, it's a game that can sometimes have a few moments of meanness where I like block a place, or like I specifically put down a type of building that's gonna like stop you from being able to score points. So there's a few moments like that, but it's not predominantly what you're doing in that game. It's just like an
Hmm.
efficiency puzzle, and it's like it's just a brilliant, simple design. It's clean. It's like it immediately became one of my all-time favorite games, and it
And
it
it's
definitely fits the like, there's a ton of interaction, but I'm not ruining all your plans. I may set you back a bit.
Right.
mhm.
I may take a place and you have to like rethink things, but I'm not going to do a thing that's going to like ruin what you've been planning for the last 40 minutes, or
Yeah.
ruining what you've been planning for the last four turns, So yeah, a big fan of bus. And the I think one of the moments that I there's a time machine. This is a
Hmm.
route building game where there's like a bunch of people in a bunch of different locations on the board, and you're building routes. And if you have the buses and the people are in the right place on your route and they have a destination, whether either it's work, home, or the pub, then on your turn or at that moment in the game, those people will move to their destination. You score points for every person you move. There's this amazing mechanism that is completely out of place and thematically makes no sense. But
Absolutely,
there's a
yeah.
time machine where if you claim the ability to use that time machine for that turn, um, come the time when you choose whether or not you're going to like stop time and ruin everybody's plans or allow time to continue, like you get to make that choice, right? So it's tough to describe without like explaining the mechanism of the whole game. But essentially,
Yeah.
like, if I've claimed the ability to use the time machine, it doesn't mean that I will. It just means that I have that ability come that moment
Hmm.
in the sequence of events. So now if I put my I don't know if they're called workers, but if I put my little thing there to say like I have the ability to do this, and that doesn't happen every turn, but like people have to plan accordingly. Like
Right.
is Matt going to stop time and I have to plan to move all my people to work, or is Matt not going to stop time and then I have to plan to put all my people get try to make all my people go to their homes to score points that way, and only I know what I'm going to do, right? And so
Right.
those moments in the game are hilarious, and it's so funny to see people look at you sideways and be like, what's he gonna do, and then
The mind games.
based on your actions, yeah, the mind games, yeah, and based on your actions people are trying to deduce what your intentions are, and like that those moments happen maybe once or twice per game, and they're a blast.
Yeah.
That's why I don't take public transportation.
Yeah,
Because of
you
the
never
time
know if
machine
time's gonna
aspect.
stop. Yeah.
Who's gonna turn back time now?
Yeah.
Like
I played bus once. It's been 5 years ago, I think, or longer.
Okay.
And I didn't dislike it. I don't think I fully comprehended, especially that
It's
mechanic
super
aspect.
weird on the first play.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't fit the game at all. But hearing you talk about it, it makes me want to play it again and give it another try and see if I like it better.
Yeah, don't play it at 5. I don't know if that's like, do not play it at 5 players. 3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I think it was four. It might have been five. I don't
Yeah, it's
remember.
just
It's
too
been so long
chaotic
ago
and
now.
too unpredictable, and you like your plans are just like they fall apart too easily at
Yeah.
5 players. By the time it comes around to your turn, it's just like it's too difficult to plan things out at 5 players. I found I played one game of 5 players and I was like, nope, that's not
Yeah.
happening again. Yeah.
it's on my shelf of shame, but I have not yet picked it up. It's actually right behind me right now, so
How
I will
how
have to.
Okay.
long how long has it been there?
Since
Chris,
1999.
don't ask questions that you don't need to know the answer to. That's
It depends
it's
on
not
whether or not
relevant
time
to
was
this
stopped.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, time stopped when he put it on his shelf, so it's been there for no time at all.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the last game I want to mention as a gamer is Nikosu Dice, which is
Hmm.
my all-time favorite trick-taking game. I love card games. I love card games. I grew up playing euchre with family and crib and all sorts of card games, traditional card games with my family. And Nikosu Dice is by far my favorite trick-taking game. Um, it's just like there's tons of interaction, there's tons of opportunities to feel smart and dumb. Like the whole feeling smart thing is a double-edged sword, right? There's like plenty of moments in games in general, including Bus and Dune Imperium, where you like make the wrong choice and you feel silly, but those are necessary for you to have the great moments. You need those low moments too, right? Like it's a balance. If there's no opportunity for you to feel silly, then there won't be opportunities for you to feel really smart too. And
Hmm.
Nikosu
Mm,
Dice is no exception there. It's like you could easily mess things up. But when you pull off when you pull it off and you get your bid, it feels amazing in that game, and the
Mm-hmm.
rewards are huge too for getting your bid. So Nikosu Dice, for those who don't know, is a trick taking game. I think there's 5 suits, 0 to 7 are the ranks, and then there's 5 colors, and then there's also a bag of dice that have the of d6s that also have those same 5 colors. And so what'll happen is we'll deal, I think it's like 9 or 10 cards, depending on player count, to all the players. Then we'll dump and roll all the cards onto the table, and in turn order we draft those dice as they were rolled, and
Mm.
bring them over to our area. And those cards, sorry, those dice become cards. Those dice are cards. So if you draft a purple 5, that's a purple 5 as if it was in your hands, but it's sitting on the table in front of you where everybody can see it. So everybody can
Mm-hmm.
sort of partially see your hand, because of the dice. And then so you're going to draft, I believe it's 4 or 5 dice, again, depending on the player count. And then you'll never play your last die. The way it works is that as soon as you've played your second to last die, that locks in your last die as your bid for how many tricks you want to take for the round. So if it happens to be a 4, it means that you're trying to win 4 tricks in that round. And so your bid sort of becomes a bit of a moving target, because if you have a 3 and a 4 left on your as your dice, and you've won 2 tricks, at this point in the hand, you're sort of deciding, am I done, am I going to try to take one more or 2 more. And so you kind of have to evaluate that. But then what happens is it's a must follow trick taking game. So if my 3 happens to be purple and I don't have any purple cards in my hand, and somebody leads with purple, I have to play that die.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very difficult to, like, you also have to sort of protect your dice that you plan on using as your bid, but in by like having other cards of that color. So the drafting becomes super important for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The cards you have in your hand, are super important for those reasons, because if I have a whole bunch of purple, I know that that purple die on the table is safe, because no matter what's led, in terms, like if somebody leads a purple, I could just play a card from my hand and save that die for as my bid. So there's all kinds of little games like that you're playing with yourself to try to figure that out. And obviously it's a trick taking game, so it's highly interactive. And if I
Mm-hmm.
see a situation where Chris is at 2 tricks and he's got a 3 die and a 6 die, and we're getting close to the end of the round, I know he's probably trying to hit that 3. So I'm either going to lead with that color of that die to try to force him to play it, or I'm going to try to make him win, too many tricks or that kind of thing. So it's just this highly interactive, super fun, very fairly heavy, not in terms of like the rules, but in terms of like just trying to figure out and hit those bids is like really, really difficult. And the first couple times you play this game, when those dice are rolled out, you have no idea what to draft. You have no
Yeah.
idea how to play out your hand. It's like it takes a couple of games for you to really understand how to play out a hand of Nikosa dice. It's brilliant.
Well, and the not only are you thinking about pairing dice with cards and your bid, there's always going to be one die left over, and that determines the trump for the hand.
Right. So the
And
last
it
die,
determines trump in two
last
ways.
drafted
It
die. Yeah.
determine yeah, the trump is super cool because let's say there's a red 4 left over. That means like the ace of spades card is the red 4. If that's played, nothing can beat it.
Other than
And then
another red 4.
yeah, another red 4 if somebody plays it after you, but and there's a weird hierarchy to the way trumps work. So, but you're also factoring that into trying to leave a die at the end that may help you
Hmm.
or may hurt somebody else. It's really interesting, and it's a
Yeah. The
such a good
drafting
trick
is
taking game.
the drafting is genius for that reason too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just to clarify on that, like everybody's drafting from the dice on the table. The last die, like we'll draft all but one die, so that last die becomes trump. and
Hmm.
including the number. So again, if it's I think you said blue 4 as the example, the or the red 4, I think you said. So the red
Yeah.
4 would be the best card. Then all the other fours, the blue 4, the yellow 4, the green 4, are the next strongest cards, and then the rest of the reds follow that. So that's probably the hardest thing about this game is that
Hmm.
like is trying to remember that, and I'm constantly reminding people the first time they play is that like
Yeah.
no, that yellow 4 is not yellow. It's Trump.
It's a Trump.
It's not
Yeah.
yellow anymore.
Trying to
It's not
teach
yellow
that.
anymore. Yeah, really.
Trying to teach
Yeah,
that was real tricky,
yeah.
especially if people understand trick taking games. It's just a little wrench that makes it just that much different and kind of hard to comprehend. So
That sounds interesting. I don't know that game at all, but it sounds like both of you are experts at it.
It's amazing.
I
Chris, have
mean,
you played it?
I've played it twice. I'm not an expert, but I loved it and would love to have a copy of it. But it's unfortunately not super easy to get your hands on. So
Hmm.
Yeah, it was out of print forever, and then recently, in the last 6 months, I want to say there was another print run, and it keeps selling out.
hmm
Yeah,
for
I
good
got my
reason. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I got a. It's funny. I bought a copy. I went to buy a copy online from Board Game Bliss, and I had put it in my cart, and then got busy at work or something. I forgot, and then like the next day, I'm like, oh, I got to go like buy that. It was gone. It was sold out. And then that day, I see a copy on Marketplace, but it's like out of town. It's like so I'm like, I tell this person, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna send you money. Hold on to it for me. Next time I drive past your area, when I go down south to the Toronto area, I'll pick it up. He says, no problem. So I do that. And then like the next day it becomes available again on on Board Game Bliss. So I bought it on Board Game Bliss because I didn't want to wait. But yeah, now I have 2 copies of Nicosu Dice.
Well,
Nice.
I'll take the other one off your hand easily.
Yeah, I'll,
So
I'll I'll send you. I'll send you a copy.
You don't want to buy it for $150 from Noble Knight Games, which is where I'm seeing it listed
no,
here.
it's an amazing game. I'm not spending $150 on this.
That is an indicator, though, Joel, of its quality. It is an
Yeah.
indicator.
They
There
just
you
need to do a
go.
larger print run at some point.
Yeah, so those are like 3 of my all-time favorite games, and games that do represent me quite a bit as a gamer.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing.
That's excellent. It sounds like you know those 3 games pretty well. But, gentlemen, how well do you know Star Wars games and the petty complaints that take center stage when 2 fandoms collide? I'm very excited for this game today, and I hope it works because I have put a lot of thought into it, but we'll see if it does.
I'm sure it'll be great.
We're gonna play a game that we're calling settling scores. All right, so this is the way this is going to work. I've got a list of games here, and I will give you the preview that these are all games from the Star Wars world. They're all Star Wars themed games, so we're going to be limiting our scope here a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some reviews, and I'm going to give you 3 reviews. The first review is pretty broad, may not have a whole lot of hints in there about what kind of game it is. The second review is a little bit more specific, and I think the last review is very specific. And at any point, you can buzz in with your secret phrases. Now, I'm going to send you your secret phrases right now so you can prepare
Separately?
yourself separately. But
Oh,
what you need to know is
Can
once you
mine be
use
somehow Palpatine returned?
what you need to know is once you use your phrase, it's gone. You can only use each phrase one time. Okay.
oh, geez.
So I've just sent them to you, Matt. I sent you yours via Facebook Messenger. Chris, I sent you yours on our
Yeah, I see
uh,
him.
on our chat. So uh, if you buzz in and get it correct after the first review, or even during the first review, you can get 3 points. During the second review, you can get 2 points, and during the last review, you only get 1 point. But then the other player is going to have a chance to guess what the rating all 3 of those reviews gave the game. Okay. So you get 1 point for guessing the rating correctly, but if you guess the game, you can get 3, 2, or 1 points.
Interesting.
All
Okay.
right. So,
Now, real quick before we get into it,
yeah.
I'm really sad you didn't finish reading the transition you wrote because it
What
was really funny. You cut it off. You didn't
I
finish
did.
it.
I'm so excited about the game, but I forgot to read the transition here.
You
All right,
have
here
to
we
read
go.
it. You got to set the scene.
Here we go. I'm going to now throw you two into my own personal Sarlacc pit and see which one of you can identify the Star Wars game based on the BGG user review. Okay, so here we go.
Got to stay on theme.
By the way, you don't have to choose your phrases in order. You can go out of order if you want to.
So
Okay.
I use one of these phrases as a buzz-in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then
it's
the
whoever
next time,
buzzes in first.
Exactly. The next time you choose a different phrase. Once you've used it, it's out.
Oh, okay.
And I will penalize you if you accidentally use the phrase twice. I'm a cruel taskmaster, as my students often tell me. All right. For 3 points. Great to play with friends. Better if they knows a thing or two about Star Wars. From BGG user Victor Scrung. For 2 points. I don't enjoy setup, but not being able to travel from one end of the galaxy to the other without backtracking.
I don't like sand.
All right, Chris.
Is it Star Wars Outer Rim?
It is indeed Star Wars Outer Rim. Chris gets 2 points here. Now, I will finish reading that review, and Matt, you can decide what the score is. I think since you only get 1 point for guessing the score, I'll read all 3 reviews because some of these are very funny too. All right, so here's the full 2-point review. I don't enjoy setup, but not being able to travel from one end of the galaxy to the other without backtracking is more annoying. The expansion makes this a lot more fun to play. And then for 1 point, pretty great sandbox game for Star Wars fans, especially with the expansion. Pick a character, grab a ship, and fly around running into various hijinks, bounties, enemy patrols, and blaster battles. Upgrade as you go along and choose your own level of competitiveness with fellow players. All right, the game is Star Wars Outer Rim. What do you think all 3 of these reviews gave this game?
I think they mostly liked it, but not quite perfect. So let's go at 8.5.
I'm going to give that to you. It was an 8. It was an 8. These are all whole numbers here. So
okay.
That was an 8. So you get 1
Yeah,
point.
if I knew it was whole numbers, I definitely would have said 8 because 9 feels too high. Yep.
Can I get a bonus point if I name the expansion too?
You cannot.
Oh, dang.
Don't think I don't see that game behind you on your shelf right now. So.
It's literally over your
That's
shoulder.
the base game. It doesn't have the expansion name on the box.
I did have some bonus reviews here. Some of these are fun. This one just says, needs a group that likes Star Wars, which, fair enough.
I mean,
fair enough.
All
right.
Needs a group who likes board games.
All right, game number 2. For 3 points, bad retheme in my opinion, not cool look, and is hard to play either.
I could see that being two different options.
For 2 points.
We should have got that person to do our our Mad Libs. I think it would have been more interesting.
2 points.
Oh, it's going to be funny when I read it. I guarantee you.
Okay.
It adds dice you hardly use, and it removes farmers, which would be thematically strange, yes, but so are some other aspects of
size matters not.
Yes. Chris.
I don't know why I think that one.
It's the motion in the ocean. Size matters not.
Would that be Star Wars Carcassonne?
That is. However, it is Carcassonne Star Wars, so no points for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, come on.
I'll give you 2
I have seen that we looked at that game at a convention. Like, we checked it out and set it up and then didn't have time to play it. So I don't know how it plays, but it definitely didn't seem like it was amazing.
All right, let me finish that review, and then I'll give you the 1 point review, and then, Matt, you can take a guess. It adds dice you hardly use, and it removes farmers, which would be thematically strange, yes, but so are some other aspects of this version. Nice artwork, though. And for 1 point, thematically great, mixed 2 fun licenses, yay! But unfortunately, the randomness of conquering planets, cloisters, just throws the whole game out of whack. What? You rolled a lot of 6s? Great, have tons of points. Yawn, I wish there were more here.
Yeah, I could see that.
What do you think, Matt?
Oh, I got to give a score, right? Let's go with 6.
You were more generous than they were. This was a 4.
Ooh, dang.
Yikes.
Here's the bonus review for this one. Not my kind of game. I'll play it, but I don't have to like it. Which is like, I mean, just don't play it, man. Like,
yeah, right. There are other games.
You don't have to play it either, friend.
Wow.
All right. Here we go. For 3 points. Thumbs to down. That's
Huh?
THUMBSDPWN. I assumed it meant thumbs down.
Oh, sure.
Thumbs down. Aesthetically awful. For 2 points. Like a Hearthstone clone. For 1 point. It is a decent collectible card game, but it doesn't add anything exciting to the mix besides its theme to stand out among similar games like Magic the Gathering. The core set offers a nice variety of fan favorite characters to play as, and they are well built from the box to start playing without buying additional booster packs, which is a big plus.
Somehow
Nice.
I'll
Palpatine
try
returned.
spinning. That's
Matt.
a good. Oh, dang.
Matt
he
got
beat me
that
to
one.
it.
So I'm aware of 2 Star Wars TCGs.
Yeah.
I feel like Dice would have been mentioned if it was Destiny, so I'm just gonna go with Star Wars the card game, the trading card game.
Oh,
I
it is
think that's
not
all it's
Star
called.
Wars the Trading Card Game, but
Oh.
you're on the right track.
Yeah, okay.
It was not Destiny's either.
Yeah, I know it wasn't Destiny because I'm very familiar with that one. More on
This
that
is
later.
the most recent one, Star Wars Unlimited.
No,
Oh, I don't get a guess?
Unlimited.
No, you're doing fine already. All right,
You
do
don't
get to
need
guess
any
the
more
score.
help. Yeah, while
That
you
was going
were
to be my guess, but when you buzzed in and you started talking, I was like, dang it could be Destiny, but it wasn't. So,
I forgot Unlimited existed.
Yeah, most people did, I
like a
think.
dummy. Yeah.
It's not doing too
I'm
great.
gonna guess that they gave it a 5.
Oh, very close. It was a 6.
Dang.
It was a 6.
I almost said 6. Oh, so close. Oh well.
All right. Yes, so we have used somehow Palpatine returned.
I'm really glad that would ended up being like that was the first one. That's perfect. as one of my phrases. That's good.
I may have made a switch there as we were.
Okay, that's what happened.
To make sure you
well
got
done,
that.
Well done, Joel. Well done. Well played.
How many times? We need to start a running tally of how many times you've said that.
All right, for 3 points, pairs perfectly with Maker's Mark Cask Strength Bourbon.
What?
That could be anything.
That was the whole review.
Perfectly with what?
Maker's Mark Cask Strength Bourbon. That was the whole review right there.
I don't even know what any of those things are except for bourbon. What?
You've never had Maker's Mark?
Maker's Mark? No.
Yeah, it's a brand.
Okay. Pairs perfectly with Maker's Mark. Okay.
Yeah. All right, 2 points. Value, replayability, card play management, difficulty setting, theme, social interaction, strategy and tactics, small footprint, easy setup and takedown. If you let it, each session has its own light emerging narrative. Was not expecting it to be any more than a themed light filler game for family and friends, similar to X-Men Mutant Insurrections, which also surprised me, yet it's a lot more. All right, for 1 point. Scenario-based adventure game, another great design by Corey. It stays true to the TV show and features all the characters with their.
I wish I could just wish away my feelings, but I can't.
Who got that one?
I love hearing you guys say these lines. It's my favorite part of the episode so far.
I have a hard time though because I try really hard not to talk over you all the time. It's like I'm like, just interrupt him. It's okay.
I think Chris had that one.
Okay. Would it perchance be the Mandalorian Adventures?
It absolutely is.
Sitting right here.
Yes. All right. Any guesses on the score for that one? Let me finish the 1 point clue. Oh, give you your point there. It stays true to the TV show and features all the characters with their own unique decks and also offers additional missions for a great deal of variety. Be sure to download even more missions from their homepage.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
So is that all of them? Yeah.
That's all of them.
It's pretty high score. I'm gonna go with an 8 again.
Oh, so close. It was a 9. This one was a 9.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I was thinking about going 9, but yeah, okay.
Here's your bonus review. Birthday gift. Mary and I had a fun time playing all the campaigns in one day. And I'm happy to hear that for user
glad
Click
Mary
86.
had a great time.
Yeah, good times. All right. These are a little bit longer. I will try and pause so that you don't have to talk over me. For 3 points.
If I have a guess, I'm 100% talking over you. Just
I love
I
it.
did just
Excellent.
now. Yeah.
Please do it. For 3 points, I'm here to berate the designer of this game. I haven't even played the game, and it's already driving me to tears and making me want to flip the table. Who designed the pieces? Who? Why is the ATST Walker such a pain in the butt to assemble? 0 stars for that junk. At this point, it'll be a gunless figurine. Strong feelings. Number 2, worst game in existence. There's not a single game rule in this game that is well thought out or balanced out. The game is heavily one-sided by design, which means half of the game content is there for the sole purpose of inflating the price without any prior notification of it being so. The money would be better spent
From
burning.
my point of view, Jedi are evil.
Okay, excellent.
I'm just going to take a shot because, like I was saying earlier, I have played so few Star Wars games. If one comes to mind and it sort of fits, I might just try. Try my hand here. So I'm going to try Star Wars Shatterpoint.
Oh, not Shatterpoint. Good guess,
Okay.
though. All right, so you're going to be able to guess the score, Chris, but I'll give you the last clue. As a generic sci-fi skirmish game, I would give it a solid
was so
7.
close.
But FFG is using it as a way to suck the dollars of the Star Wars zealots who toss money at whatever has the Star Wars logo printed on it. This game is Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if it was that or Legion.
What score did these glowing reviews give it?
Let's go with a 2.
It was a 1.
Ooh,
to the bottom of the barrel here, and there
nasty. Even Mary wouldn't like that game.
Even Mary would not enjoy this.
Yeah, but it's wild because I know some people that loved that game.
Yeah. The bonus review for this one is it gets a 1 because officers shouldn't be able to command wampas. So get the details wrong there.
Come on.
That is on point.
All right. Here we go. For 3 points. I like the theme and some of the ideas, but they're implemented too poorly to make this an enjoyable experience. The game arc is much too short. You may well find the game to be over before you even get a chance to properly use any of your good cards. Overall, there's just not nearly enough player agency to make this feel like anything more than a mediocre luck of the draw card game. For 2 points. The problem with this game is that it's way too long, and we are not slow players. I've heard we might not be playing optimally, but if that's the case, the real issue is that the game allows for a suboptimal play that lengthens the playtime considerably. Shards of Infinity doesn't have this problem.
Let the wiki win.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, if it's compared to Shards of Infinity, it's definitely going to be Star Wars the deck building game.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
2 points
Which
for
surprises me. It's those 2 reviews are like one said it's too short. It ends before you realize, and the other person said it's too long. So
That's
yeah, okay.
All right, and the 1 point review, Chris, before you guess the score, is a worse version of Star Whelms with a Star Wars skin. The changes made Star Wars have a serious runaway leader problem and loser paralysis problem.
3.
So close. You're always so close. I wish I should have given bonus points for being close, but I didn't, so you get no points. It was a 4.
No points, yeah. That's what that means.
Yep.
That was a 4?
Exactly. That was a 4.
Wow.
Bonus review, sucks. Got the Clone Wars edition.
It sucks. I bought more. If that doesn't encapsulate Star Wars fans, I don't know. I don't know what does. Yeah.
Oh man.
Just a bunch of dummies we are.
All right.
That's amazing.
This one I think is maybe tough, but it's again, I didn't go too obscure. Okay, so all right. 3 points. Much like the IP it's based on, it seems awesome from a distance, but is just bland and uninspired when it comes to execution. Somebody does not like Star Wars. For 2 points, the app is fiddly. For 1 point, Hoth scenario is good, middle is decent, but last scenario, desert, is crap. BGG user Pulla. I thought maybe that would be the hint if you were going to get this one, but 3 scenario game. All right, nobody's buzzing in. This was Star Wars Unlock. Wars.
Ah.
All right, those were all 5-star reviews, by the way.
Okay. Was there a bonus review for that one?
What's that?
Was there a bonus review on that one?
The worst unlock game ever. 5 stars.
All right.
5 stars. So yeah, it holds Unlock in pretty high regard then.
Yeah.
I love BGG reviewers and reviewers, and me too. I'm sure I've say ridiculous things, but all right. For 3 points, when I was little, this is what I imagined to be happening when I was playing with my Star Wars figures.
Are you an angel?
Yes.
No, I was just asking. Are you an angel?
No, I'm saying yes, I am. All right, let's go back to the game.
I mean, Star Wars
great
Rebellion.
aside there.
Star Wars Rebellion's my guess.
That is incorrect. Good
Oh,
guess.
it's just so thematic. I was just waiting for one that's just like touched on theme to go for Rebellion. Yeah.
Is it Legion?
It is Star Wars Battle of Hoth. For 2 points,
sure.
It is so satisfying with all the Star Wars figures, scenarios that make sense, but it's also so frustrating when an almost depleted unit with 1 man left destroys you rolling 4 lucky dice. It reminded me playing Risk.
Sure.
No of in there, but that's okay. And then for 1 point, it was Star Wars Commands and Colors.
Commands and Colors.
All right. What do you think, Chris? How many points, or how many? What score did they give these? I forgot what I'm doing here for a second.
Let's go 5.
These were 7s. They actually all liked the game.
What?
You could have fooled me.
The bonus review for this one was just fast game, campaign is fun, cards are thematic. There weren't a ton of 7 reviews on that one. All right. For 3 points, I hate this game, but my husband loves it. For 2 points, based off the base game, I hear the expansion fixes combat.
That's no Moon. This one's Rebellion for sure.
Yeah,
that is Star Wars Rebellion.
The expansion
for sure.
absolutely fixes combat.
This, by the way, this has my favorite bonus review after Chris guesses the score here.
Okay.
Based off, so this is the 2 point review. Based off the base game, I hear the expansion fixes combat way too frustratingly luck reliant. The card action becomes repetitive unless you're reusing your starting cards a lot. Very fiddly, lots of tiny rules and steps to remember. Very long, 5 to 6 hours for our first game.
Oof.
For 1 point, if you
all of that is 100% true. Still a great game.
Great game.
Yeah.
I love this game.
Never played it.
If you love Star Wars, this could be your big box asymmetrical game. For me, that is War of the Ring. Pros.
It's a different idea.
Pros, Star Wars in a box, the Death Star model, asymmetry, just too long for what it is. I'm a quick player, and even with it setup already done, it took 5 hours. Cons, combat system is a low point. It's dire, suffers from low replayability. I played once as a rebel. I could possibly play again as Empire, but otherwise, no.
Okay, let's go 4.
That's what I was thinking.
You're always 1 point off. It's a 3. It's a 3.
I feel like I 100% agree with all of those negative reviews. Still a great game.
Yeah, I love it. All right, my favorite bonus review. Didn't play, but watched videos on it and examined the game board. It's pretty combat focused, and I'm not that much into Star Wars.
You spent a lot of time studying this game to not play and rank it a 3.
Why did you score it, man?
Oh, that's great.
All right. I've got 2 left. It is currently tied up 5-5.
Oh my goodness. I'm doing better than I thought I would.
Yeah, man, you've gotten quick on a couple of these buzz ends.
3 points. 0 sense of danger, even on a close call. For 2 points, separatism spreads like a disease, unleashing a pandemic of battle droids.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to guess if you don't want to, Chris.
I think you're ready to respond to some of these comments. That's got to be Star Wars: The Clone Wars, a pandemic game.
That is exactly right.
Thinking, but I had no idea what it was called.
Yeah, it's right here, man.
That's just a blue and red blur.
I know.
Blob.
Listen,
behind you there.
All right, the final review, Matt, before you guess the score. Amazing game with the pandemic system. If you like Star Wars and pandemic, this is the perfect game for you. I've heard many people say that it's easier than other pandemics, and that really shows me that they may not be playing it right. Actually, it says paying it right, but I think you meant playing. There are many levels of difficulty you can choose from, and even make it more complex by adding more missions. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend. Edit. Haven't played this in a while. Usually prefer other games.
These reviews are a blast. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend. Edit. Usually prefer other games.
One of my favorite podcasts is It's one of my favorite podcasts, and I cannot remember the title. No, it's
It's called
how.
Token Onion.
Yes, also that. How did this get made? Which is
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
I've
it's
heard of that.
fantastic, and they do the exact same thing. They read 5-star reviews on Amazon of the movies that they talk about, and they're hilarious. So this I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. These people really love this game. I'm gonna say 9.
You love it more than they actually loved it. They gave
8,
it
I
a 7.
guess. 7. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this is weird.
Remember, he would rather play other
I would
games.
rather play
Oh,
other
yeah, I
games.
forgot about that edit, that update.
Maybe if I had given you the bonus review, which is simply, well, what do you expect of it?
What does that even mean?
Again, that's the whole review. I'm not like
Yep.
cutting out parts of the
7.
review. That's it.
That's it. You
Okay.
got it.
All right. Now, Chris currently has a 2-point lead, which means it's still possible, Matt, for you to come back and at least tie it up. And I do not have a tiebreaker. So if that happens, you guys will have to fight to the
Ties are
death.
friendly.
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh,
All right. For 3 points, missing 1 green health marker. Okay. For 2 points, a bit challenging to win as the dark side, but then again, how easy is it to change history? Still, the game is super fun to play, if only it was not out of print.
Misa getting very, very
I don't think I
scared.
know another Star Wars game.
Well, Chris seems to. What do you think, Chris?
Is it Star Wars Destiny?
It is not Star Wars
Oh,
Destiny.
There's no green marker in that
I
one.
don't know. It was just a
I
guess
bet
because it's
that's
out of
one of the
print.
3 Star Wars games that I've played. So
Well, I chose this one for a reason. Recently announced getting a reprint with a new theme. All right, this is
Mm.
Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit, which I
Ah.
believe is going to be released as a Lord of the Rings themed game called The King's Gambit by
Okay.
Restoration Games. So here's the last review, and you can't win at this point, Matt, but at least to make yourself feel better, right? Easily my favorite Star Wars board game, and from my favorite of the movies, multiple battlefronts, over 100 plastic miniatures, action-packed gameplay.
Holy cow. It's a lot of minis.
9.
Oh, these are 10s, baby.
10s. Wow.
Yeah.
Tens.
I don't think the bonus review would have helped you on this one. I own many extra Gungans.
I've never even heard of this game, so definitely
Why
would
wouldn't
not
you-
have.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you own extra Gungans? I mean,
Well, there you go. That was settling scores, and I had a lot of fun with that. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
yeah, that was a blast.
I've been very excited getting ready for this. So,
Yeah.
but a close game, 7-5. So good job,
Hey,
guys.
kudos,
I'll
man.
take that. I'll take that.
Well, Joel, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for setting that game up. I know you put a lot of work into it, and we'll definitely have to bring that back out. I hope the listeners enjoyed it as much as I did. But that was a lot of feedback from people with very strong opinions about some Star Wars board games. Now we're going to switch it up and we're going to talk about Star Wars games and other media that we personally love in our 3-2-1 Star Wars, where we each are bringing 3 Star Wars games that we love, 2 movies/shows that we love, and then 1 non-board game or movie piece of Star Wars media, be that a video game, a book series, a comic. We kind of left that open to each of our own interpretation here. So, Matt, you being our guest, why don't you give us your first game and we'll get into it.
Sure. So my first game is Star Wars Rebellion. We talked about it a tiny bit. It's a game that I haven't played in years now. It's just so long, and I'm at the point now where, and I have been for a while, where like you just, unless you play it at least every 6 months or so, you're gonna have to just do a whole rule read and reteach and whatnot. And the game is so long, and as much as I love it, and every play that I've had of it has been so much fun, it's just really hard to get to the table. And so it's sort of been replaced by Dune War for Arrakis, because it has very similar feels in terms of the gameplay. Nowhere near as thematic, but it has similar feels, and it plays in a couple hours, and it still has the like big incumbent superpower versus the scrappy little rebellion feel to it. And they're both great games, and I do plan on one day returning to Star Wars Rebellion. It's probably going to be in another 2 or 3 years when my sons are old enough to like play. That's probably when I'll like take the time to return to it. So amazing game. it was
Nice.
my it was my second favorite game of all time for multiple years on end, and then it's sort of fallen off for me, but still holds it holds a place for sure for me in my gaming world, and I'm excited to return to it someday.
Nice.
I'll jump in here to say that's on my list also. That's one of mine also. So I'll piggyback everything Matt said here, right? Like same. It's been a while since I've played it, and yet the plays stand so strongly in my mind as just
Hmm.
being fantastic, fun experiences. And I'm waiting for like another snow day or something. I mean, it's summer now, or it's approaching summer now, so not right away, but like when Amelia's like, "Yeah, I'm in the mood for just like a big heavy game again. Let's spend the day playing this," because it's just such a great two-player experience, and both. You were talking earlier, Matt, about like you want to see smart, clever plays at the table. You want to feel like you're making smart, clever plays, and I feel like that is a game that totally allows both sides to do that, right? To make you feel like you're like, oh yes, this is gonna work here. I'm gonna hem you in, or I'm gonna hide in a place you can't find me. And it's just, yeah, it's a winner. Definitely love it. We've gone through a couple of board game sales here. Our local game store does a thing where you can bring in games and sell them and get store credit. And every time, like I pass over it and then I pause and I'm like, we haven't played this in a long time, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting rid of that. It's a permanent. It's got a permanent spot in our collection, even if we don't play it until
Same. Yeah,
two
I
or three
feel
years.
exactly the same way. It's been sitting on my shelf now for at least 2 years, maybe longer, since I've played.
Mm,
And multiple times I've had the opportunity to go to auctions or sales where and I like look at it for a second, and it's like, no, there's no way. I'm like, it's gonna sit there as long as it needs to till I play it again.
nice. That's one that I would like to try at some point. I just haven't wanted to invest the time and energy into learning and playing it yet.
It's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
maybe
worth
one
it,
day.
but it's a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
what is
that's
on
fair.
your list, Chris? What's your first game?
So the first one, and I don't know if y'all ranked these in any specific order. Mine are in no order here, but
Same.
I wanted to give a shout out to the Mandalorian Adventures. I don't think it's the best Star Wars game, but it's really good at what it presents, and it's really interesting and offers some really cool gameplay. Um, we've played the core game comes with 4 missions, and it follows kind of the story of the Mandalorian if you watch the show. So like the first episode is where he goes to get the child, and the mission is you've got to get the child and get back to the start space. And then the next mission is where he's trying to take the child back and escape with it instead of delivering it to the I don't remember the character's name that he's delivering it to. And so it's really interesting. The weird thing with it is like the first 2 scenarios you can only play 2 characters, and so and then the third and fourth scenario you can play 4, and they're different characters each time. The Mandalorian is obviously one of them in all of them, but we've played the first 3. We didn't have time to get all 4 of them in before we talked tonight. But the cool thing is there's 2 envelopes that you can unlock as you play through it, and that are going to introduce some extra stuff. I know one of them because after one of the scenarios, it's like you can choose to unlock this now if you're interested in introducing it, or you can wait till instructed later. And that was a hidden trader mechanic,
Hmm.
and that's not something we tend to enjoy in games. So Kenton's like, well, if it's going to tell us to unlock it later, let's just keep playing for now, and we'll unlock it down the road. But uh, and it was interesting because there's one specific rule in the game that works a certain way that I was like, I don't understand. Like, there's an action where you can look at a face down token. You can't show it to the table, or you're not supposed to, but you can tell everyone what you see. And I was like, why could you tell everyone but not show them? And then we found out about there's a possible traitor.
Right.
Well, that makes a little more sense. But It's very reminiscent of like a Gloomhaven type game where you're moving around the board, you're fighting enemies. You know, you can push them, you can pull them, you can do other things, and line of sight and specific objectives for the missions. But it's just, I mean, it's not super complicated. It's way more rules light than a Gloomhaven type game, um, and really probably will only be something that'll hit for you if you're a fan of the Mandalorian. And so I'm excited to open the two envelopes and see what they're going to add and introduce to the game. And, you know, it may not be one that sticks around forever, but we'll at least make sure we play through all the content and get a feel for it. So,
Yeah, that's when I chose the I was when I was looking at the reviews, I was looking at the 9s, and it got me pretty excited to play it. I've
yeah.
never played that one, but I was like, "That sounds pretty fun." I don't know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
I mean,
interested to check it out.
it's a solid game. You know, it may not be the best, you know, dungeon crawl, work through missions type of game, but if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, it's going to hit for you.
Yeah.
Matt, what's your number two?
My number two is Star Wars: The Deck Building Game. I really dig it. I mentioned earlier I really like deck building games. This one hit the spot for me. I haven't played it a ton. I've probably played it 4 or 5 times. I and it's one that like I often look at and be like, I got to get that back to the table. Yeah, I really enjoy the deck building. I like the twists on the deck building that it does. I think it's really clever. It has a really neat system, and yeah, I like the like I forget what even thematically it is, but the like tug of war
Yeah.
kind of mechanism that's in it where the
Mhm.
cube or the thing goes towards you or towards me. I think it's like the force, is it? Or
Yep.
like
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
Force.
So whether it's on the dark side, which is, you know, potentially my side, or the light side or whatever, I really like that mechanism. And if you have the advantage there, it opens up more options to play cards and things like that. So there's a few really neat twists on the genre that I really appreciate. And I have not played Clone Wars, um, but I do plan on picking it up at some point.
Yeah, once again, Matt and I on the same page. Matt, you should come down to North Carolina. We should play some games. I think we like a lot of the same games.
Two for two
Uh,
so far.
that's 2 for yeah, exactly. Now, this is my wife's favorite two-player game. Whenever
Interesting.
yeah, whenever we sit down for a two-player game, if I suggest this, she's always on board for it.
Hmm.
Even if she's like, "I'm kinda tired, I want something short." No, she'll play this anytime. And I really like the way they are at first, I wasn't sure with the Clone Wars versions. Like, I've already got this game. Why do I need it? But I love the way you can now mix and match and play. You know, maybe it doesn't work thematically in the universe to have the Clone Wars versus
Yeah.
the dark side or whatever. But like it as a game, it works really well. And they've actually got 5 factions now. There's also a Mandalorian faction, and I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce some more factions down the line,
Yeah.
and each of them kind of plays slightly differently, right? Like it has slightly different abilities and cards that are in it, and it just I don't know. It's a really fun game, and it's also one that I've just not gotten tired of, even though we've played it a fair amount, right? For the two of us, so yeah, definitely great game.
Yeah, that's one that I've played a couple of times and I liked it, not enough to own it, but I'm super tempted to get the Clone Wars version because I just think some of those characters seem more interesting to me to dive into. So I would like to try that one at some point.
I think it's fun the way they do things like that Mandalorian faction,
Hmm.
who don't use the Force. The goal is balance, so you don't want that marker on your
Right.
side.
Oh,
You're
interesting.
aiming to have it in the middle,
Oh, that's
and
neat.
when it's there, then there's certain benefits that you can get.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just
And
Cool.
that game
cool.
is super easily expandable, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
very cool touches.
That's
Can't
cool.
wait for the Ewok faction. No, just kidding.
I'm resisting the urge to sing the theme song from the 1980s trip of a cartoon series.
I thought you were gonna
Um,
sing Wub Nub from the celebration at the end.
uh, so my second one is Star Wars Unlimited, the trading card game. Uh, I'm not huge into TCGs in the slightest bit. I am not interested in them at all. And when this came out, it was funny because we were still working at the game store that we helped open, and somebody brought it and taught it to me, and I basically became the catalyst for us having a fairly decent presence of unlimited players and events and demos before it even came out, and getting some hype built. And everybody thought it was so weird and funny that they're like, "You hate TCGs, why are you pushing this?" And I was like, "Because it's fantastic, it's Star Wars." And learned really quickly that I'm not into the competitive scene, but just the idea of building a deck around Star Wars characters, and like, you can get really silly with it, or you can have some fun with it, and just silly fun is what we wanted out of it. And so we'll play it, just casually from time to time. And our 15-year-old kind of got into it this school year, and so it's just been fun. I haven't really bought anything outside of the first set, just because I don't need to spend more money on it. But there's some cool characters and different sets that have come out since the initial release. So if you're a Star Wars fan and you like TCGs, I think this is a solid one you should check out.
Nice. I haven't played that one at all. I'm interested in it though. It looks fun.
Yeah, I'll go next, just because mine's also a TCG, and I have similar feelings about TCGs and Star Wars and their relationship and my relationship with them. Yeah, not I was never big a TCG guy. Never played Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Never touched any
Hmm.
of those. Um, and at some point when Star Wars Destiny first came out, I had noticed it on a shelf or something, and it was right around that time that episode 7 was coming out. And I guess maybe we could take a tiny little side road here, but like I had seen the original trilogy as a kid and liked Star Wars. Didn't love Star Wars, was not a super fan, but was like, oh yeah, those are good. Like I enjoyed them, you know? And also probably because like just the quality of the filmmaking and stuff and the way that it looked on a VHS in 1995 or whatever, as you know, or whatever, early 90s, when I was like, when I watched it, it just didn't hold up in terms of like the look of movies that I was used to seeing. Probably, I don't know. Anyways, when episode 7 was coming out, there was this big hype of like Star Wars is back and whatnot. And I decided to kind of dive into Star Wars, watch it all, take everything in, and
Hmm.
like as a kind of a prep for this like huge cultural event that was ultimately coming. And obviously, being a huge movie guy, I thought that would be a fun thing to do. So I watched the original trilogy, I watched the prequel trilogy, and it was Clone Wars and Rebels that really made me a super fan. Although I really liked the original
Absolutely.
trilogy way, way more watching it as an adult, as a 30 something, or late 20s, early 30s, whatever it was at the time. Really appreciated the original trilogy a ton more this time around. I was like, these are great movies. And then it was really getting into Clone Wars and Rebels that really made me a super fan. I just loved the deep dive into some of the lore
Hmm.
there, and got to know the characters a lot better in that. And
I'm
then
right there with you on that,
yeah,
by
and it
the
was
way.
right around the time that episode 7 was coming out that Star Wars Destiny came out. So I was like, "Oh, what's this game?" I'm my Star Wars fandom is kind of exploding right now, and maybe that could also happen on the gaming side. And it absolutely did. I fell in love with that game. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It's still ultimately one of my favorite games of all time, even though I do not play it at all ever anymore. Because it's a TCG and it died, and I don't know, it just like I kept my favorite deck that I had built. I kept that. I still have that, but that's like all I own for Star Wars Destiny. So yeah, went head over heels into that game, spent a ton of money, traveled to worlds, played in a bunch of regionals, won a regional, top forward in a bunch.
Wow.
I did fairly well. I finished in the top 50, I think, at worlds out of like
Wow, that's
300
awesome.
and 350 or something like that. So I did fairly well. I really enjoyed myself. And yeah, that's kind of still one of my all-time favorite games. Though if I was ranking my all-time favorite games, I probably just wouldn't consider it. If I was doing an actual ranking, just because it doesn't really feel like a board game. It doesn't exist anymore. I don't play it anymore. But I do want to give it a shout out on this list because I think it deserves it when we're talking about specifically Star Wars games.
Mhm.
Awesome.
That's cool.
That's a gap in my knowledge, so we don't align on the third one, unfortunately. But it makes me want to play it. It sounds like
It
an
was really
interesting
cool.
game.
Like, it was a TCG where you chose a hero. You're either your hero or villain, and then you chose your characters. And then similar to some other ones, which I honestly don't know that well, but similar to some other ones, if I picked a red character, then I could include red cards in my deck, and those were mostly military characters. And if I chose a blue character, which were force users, I can include blue cards. So you were
Mhm.
constantly mashing up these different things. I loved the deck building element. That was a ton of fun. But the thing that really innovated was dice.
Mhm.
Every character and every weapon, or most weapons, came with dice. And then when you activated that character or that weapon, you rolled the dice into the pool. And then one of your actions could be to resolve those dice. And then there was mitigation to remove dice. There was ways to re-roll the dice, and the dice was a big part of it. And yeah, this, anyways, fantastic game. Yeah, it's too bad that it died so quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never got to play that one either. So.
Well, my last game is one that is still around, though I don't
Mhm.
think it's had any new content released for it for a few years at this point, and that is Star Wars Outer Rim. I love Fantasy Flight. I think they still make great thematic games. I think
Mhm.
a lot of people have kind of start looking down on them because so many of their when they got bought by Asmodee, some of their big properties have kind of taken a back seat and things, but they still handle a lot of IPs, and I think they handle them pretty well, at least the IPs that
Mhm.
I care about and know about. And Outer Rim, I think, is just such a great, like, open world kind of adventure, right? As you get different missions that you're trying to complete, you're upgrading your ship, you're doing all those sorts of things as you fly around. I have not played uh, Zaya or Zia. I'm not sure how you say that one. I have played Firefly, but to me, this is the like go complete random missions out in space game that I will go to again and again. And I'll admit, a huge part of it is the theme, right? Like it is
Yeah.
just fun to fly these ships that I've seen and to have these characters that I'm encountering that are from these movies and shows that I love so much. And I just love Outer Rim. I think it's a great time still. Like many of these games that we've been talking about throughout this episode, I don't play this as often as I would like to, but
Same.
every time I get it out on the table, I just have a blast with it. So Outer Rim is my pick with the expansion, but I enjoyed it before I got the expansion too.
Yeah.
So
I, I
yeah,
I agree with that. I definitely see why the expansion is so good
yeah,
because
for
you can
sure.
easily get trapped on an end of the board.
Yep.
So I like that the expansion changes that. I also like the expansion where like it changes how the game ends, where
Yeah.
you race to complete your goals. I think that's a really cool. Um, I've played it twice without and once with the expansion. And my mom got me the expansion for Christmas, but we haven't played it with it yet. Um, yeah, that was going to be one of my threes because I think it's such a fantastic game. But I wanted to give a little bit more variation when I saw that you were going to talk about it. So
Well, thanks.
because it's fan. I mean, you're right, and I think one of the reviews even said it. You pick a pilot, you pick a ship, and you fly around and have fun. Like it's
Yeah.
just and I think it's another one of those games, kind of like Mandalorian Adventures, where you might enjoy it if you're not into Star Wars, but there's other games that you would probably enjoy more. And even now, when the last time we played it last fall, I have way more Star Wars knowledge and have grown in my love for the universe. And it was a lot more enjoyable of a play than the
Yeah.
two times I had played it like 6 years ago.
I've heard it's really frustrating that you can't just fly from one end to the other anytime you want.
Yeah. Well, and that's
I
one
read
of
a
the things that,
review one time.
yeah. Oh, yeah, sure, sure, sure. You read a review?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A review was read to me one time.
He was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say he had a review read to him.
Nice.
Matt's
Uh, w-
illiterate. We just don't like to talk about it. So.
I only know adjectives.
hey, it's because he knows how to read French and English is too hard.
Yeah, it's because I'm bilingual. Okay, leave me alone.
Amazing.
So before I mention my last one, I was told I have to mention this game by my wife, and if I don't, she's going to be upset. So I'm going to give an honorable mention from her, and that's Jabba's Palace, which is a love
Oh,
letter
Love
game
Letter. Yeah.
set.
I
Yeah,
have
and
played that
it's
one. That's another Star Wars game I've
hey,
played. How
there
about
you
that?
go. Um, it is. I think Joel and I have even mentioned like over the years there were a ton of rethemes of Love Letter where it was like the exact same game, they just put different art and characters in it. The abilities were all the same and nothing really changed rules wise. Jabba's Palace adds a few different twists to the classic love letter. It still plays out very similarly,
Hmm.
but you've got two different factions that can kind of play off of each other, and there's some really cool different abilities. The Han Solo card is a 0, and if you manage to survive to the end of the hand with him, you get a token, a scoring token, even if you don't win the hand. So, and then there's one twist where it changes. You can potentially play with different rules on how scoring is resolved at the end of a hand. Instead of it just always being the last player in or the highest card, there's some additional cards that you can choose one at random for the game that change that up. And so it's just a really fun twist on Love Letter that still keeps the core gameplay intact. Um, so that's a shout out from Caitlin. My third one is the Clone Wars, and you want to talk about kind of like what Matt was saying as he watched and dove back into and really fell in love with the universe. A similar thing with him, although probably about 7 years after you. Was in the past couple of years for us was watching Clone Wars, and I had played the game a couple of times before and really enjoyed it, but had never seen the show. And I remember we played it on Star Wars Day a couple years ago at the game store. And one of the mission cards we flipped up, I was like, "Hey, I know that. I watched that episode last night," and it just like brought a whole new love for the game.
Yeah, that's
And then
always fun.
I accidentally bought a copy last year. Um,
Oops.
I know how silly
Chris,
that sounds.
no, you didn't.
Well, so there was a virtual flea market for Tantrum Con last year, and I had asked the guy a couple of questions about the game. And so he comes up to me at the meetup and he's like, "Hey, you were going to buy the Clone Wars." And I was like, "Was I? I don't." And he was like, "Yeah, you said." And I don't remember actually committing to buy it, but he said I did. And I think I looked back at the comments and it was kind of vague and we never agreed on it. But I was like, "Okay, will you take $15 for it?" He's like, "Sure." I was like, "Here you go, I'll take it." So it
Chris,
was I
that reminds me. You said you were going to buy a bunch of stuff from me. Also, we'll deal with it after the show, though.
okay, sure,
You
sure,
can
sure,
send me the
sure.
money.
Yeah, okay. Uh
Yeah, I think we
but
agreed to that to Nikosu Dice you wanted, right? For
man,
$150.
I'm just going broke on this episode here. Uh anyway, the Clone Wars is it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, but you've played Pandemic, it borrows the Pandemic system. Instead of disease spreading, it's droids and separatists spreading around the galaxy. And the board is planets that you're moving around. And, the characters make a lot more sense after watching the show. The villains, which I was aware of but didn't understand, make a whole lot more sense after watching the show. And so it's so much fun every time I play it. Now we haven't managed to survive through the series of I think there's 4 different villains that are increasing in difficulty. I don't even think we've made it past the second one because I agree with that one review. If you think this game's easy, I don't know how because it can get very hard very fast. But it's another one that's just a blast, and anytime we pull it out, we have so much fun with it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, that was our 3 games. Matt, why don't you share your first of the 2 movies and/or shows?
You said it right there, Andor.
Hey, you're welcome. I was in the middle
um,
of saying it, and I was like, "Hey,
that's the
that's
same
kind of
word.
punny, unintentional."
Andor. I think Andor is the one of the all time. Like if I was ranking all of Star Wars books, movies, shows, etc., Andor's probably top 2, top 3, like
Mm,
top
if
5
not number 1.
easily. You could make I could make an argument for sure for it for sure. It's unbelievable. And I don't know
Hmm.
how many people I've recommended Andor the show to that are not Star Wars fans. What I tell
Yeah.
them is it's a great spy thriller
Hmm.
with incredible characters, and it's about, the scrappy rebellion, just coming of age kind of thing, just starting to matter in the world, and how that came to be. But essentially it's a spy thriller with great characters and some really exciting, fun action adventure episodes mixed in there as well. Like season one has a jailbreak, it has a heist, it has all kinds of these different genres smashed into there as well. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I tell people all the time, I don't it does not matter that it's a Star Wars show. It's a great show. There's not a single lightsaber in it. There's no use of the force in it. It's basically a spy thriller.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be set in the Star Wars universe, and it doesn't matter that it is, and it doesn't need to be. But I'm so glad that it is, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorite shows, period, and it ranks right up there with all my favorite Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
The prison breakout episode from season 1 is just it is one of my favorite episodes of
It's
television
amazing.
So
in a
good.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's
It
fantastic.
My only gripe with that show is that there were parts of season 2 that were way too real because of the timeline of when we were watching it.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's like because we watched it late. I think we just watched it in like January. And if you know current events that were happening in our country around that time, there were very strong parallels that were very unsettling. And that was my only gripe with the show, is like, this feels too
Which
real
yeah,
at the
which is not the
moment.
show's fault, but definitely a legitimate feeling to have, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
and at the same time, maybe one of the show's strengths also, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
100%.
feels so
discrediting the
relevant.
show
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it,
no, I
but
get it. I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
I was tempted to put that one on my list, but I assumed somebody else would.
Yeah, it's
And
just a tougher watch, I guess, because of
yeah,
the
but it's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. And I think it's funny because I remember when it was first announced, I saw some people being like, why do we need to learn more about Cassian Andor, who was, you know, a decent character in Rogue One, was their defense. But after what, and I didn't know, and I was kind of like, well, that makes sense. But then watching the show, it's like, yeah, we definitely needed more of him because the show is freaking amazing.
Yeah, I will say, on that note, it's not about Andor. I think it's poorly titled, to be honest. I don't think it's about
Sure, that's
Andor.
fair.
He is the lens that we see all of this growth of the rebellion through.
Mhm.
But I don't think he's like he's just there all the time, because
Yeah,
he's the lens of which we're witnessing all of this through. But I don't
yeah,
feel like it's about his character or his character growth or necessarily his actions. It's about how what part he plays in this greater picture. And really
hmm.
it's the greater picture of the rebellion and everything that's happening there, that what the show's really about, in my opinion.
Now, be honest. When you finished season 2, did you also immediately watch Rogue One?
Fairly soon after,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and it
finished
did.
it, and I said tomorrow we're watching Rogue One, and we
Yeah,
watched it the next night.
yeah.
So, which Joel, do you want to go next?
I do, but I'm not gonna do what you were setting me up to
Oh,
do.
come on.
So, uh, my first pick is Empire Strikes Back. I'm gonna be old school, and I'm gonna be classic. This is my favorite Star Wars movie
How
by
vanilla of
far.
you.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm
I
not,
mean, you are that of that age. I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm not living up to indie cred,
You're in your
but
late 40s, early
I
50s, right?
hold on. I believe we said late 30s to late 40s. Uh, no, I do remember seeing. I was 4 years old when I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters, and
Wow.
Oh,
it
That's so
it
wow.
cool.
it made a big
Jealous.
impression on me. I definitely had Ewok action figures and those,
Why
all those
wouldn't
sorts of
you?
things. But it wasn't. I don't know. It was before I was 10 still when I really paid attention and saw Empire Strikes Back for the first time. And it had such an impact on me, right? Like as a little kid, like getting to the end of that movie and be like, wait, the good guys aren't winning at the end of this movie. Like
How does
Yeah.
that happen?
everything's
Yeah.
bad, right? Where's Han Solo, and how did Luke just lose his hand, and all these sorts of things, right? Like, and that idea of like understanding, it's now a classic thing, right? Trilogies have a second dark chapter, and before the hope at the end, and even the 3 act structure of movies, right? Like you get the lowest point in Act 2 and things before the climactic finale and stuff. But it's a movie that I don't care if it's nostalgia. I don't care if it's just, that I am of that age, but like it holds up to me every time. I think it is exciting. I think it is fun. I think it's funny. I love Yoda in this. I do not enjoy Yoda in the prequels because he feels like a cartoon, whereas this Yoda feels like a real being who is, dealing with even down to just like the editing, the way you have time to like feel the suffering and the struggle of Luke learning how to become a Jedi and all those sorts of things. Like it just, to me, it holds up as like uh not just a great Star Wars movie, but a great movie. I just love it. It's, yeah, Empire Strikes Back all the way.
Nice.
It's a masterpiece, no doubt.
It is.
Well, and you have to beg the question, would the rest of the Star Wars media we have and love today exist had that one, especially? Because I feel like episode 4 obviously set the tone,
Yeah.
but Empire made it what it is, I feel like.
I think that's exactly right. Because if you go back and watch episode 4 again now, you're like, it's fun, right? Like it's a fun
Mhm.
time. And I get at the time how it sort of like changed the landscape for what a blockbuster movie was. Like I totally understand that in my head, but I feel like Empire Strikes Back turns it not just into a series of fun movies, but like as a movie with stakes and with a series with stakes and with heart and with
Hmm.
like, real uh, possibilities of loss at play, right? And I think that I never really feel that in A New Hope, but in Empire, I totally feel it, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh, people you love could die in this, right? And I think that's honestly, I think that's sort of, without Empire, I don't think there's ever an Andor either, right? Like that is
Mhm.
going
sure.
to ask you to think about the cost of freedom and the cost of rebellion and all those sorts of things. And I think Empire kind of opens the door for, this isn't just entertainment. It's going to ask you to kind of wrestle with some tough issues here. So I
Yeah.
Yeah.
love it.
Well, and without Empire, I'm going to throw a curveball and say something that I didn't write down. I'm going to say, without Empire, you don't have the return of Palpatine for episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, because that's the greatest Star Wars movie ever made,
Yeah,
right?
maybe I don't like Empire anymore. If that if
No, I'm kidding.
we're making episode 9 Empire's fault, ugh, that's gonna be rough for me.
No, that's not really one of my picks. Um, although I'm of the opinion that m- more Star Wars hurts nobody and it's all entertaining, but I still think that's the worst movie that's been made in the universe.
Yeah,
um,
no argument
but
here.
it had so much good in it that was overshadowed by so much bad. But that's another topic for another day. My first pick is going to be episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So Joel talks about his memories of growing up with Star Wars and that being so pivotal for him. As I mentioned in one of our first episodes, I didn't grow up on Star Wars, and the prequel trilogy was my introduction. And I enjoyed episode 1, didn't watch anything else until episode 2 came out and said, hey, I should go see that. I was excited to see episode 3, and still to this day, every time I watch that movie, it hits and it makes me emotional and it impacts me in so many different ways. And I don't know if you guys are like me, but every time I watch it and they're in the scene in Palpatine's room and he's trying to get Anakin to save him, and Anakin's torn. You're just like, don't do it this time. Don't do it this time. And he does it, and you're like, oh, you did it again.
How
And
can
like
you do
every
this to
time I
me?
watch the movie, I'm like, come on, do the right thing, you know? And, but I just, even though I know there's gripes about the acting performances and some of the writing and directing in the prequel trilogy that obviously I see and don't disagree with, that movie is phenomenal to me because there's just so much to it that just pulls on your heartstrings, right? Like you can feel Obi-Wan's heartbreak at the end when he walks away from Anakin's burning body on Mustafar. Um, you can see the pain in Padme's eyes when he almost chokes her to death with the Force, and
Mhm.
there's just so many good things about it. And even more so, I read the novel of it, and it was very long and very detailed. Like I think the first 100 pages covered the opening sequence of the movie.
Hmm.
And so like so detailed, but it brought so much more out of the movie and made some parts of it make so much more sense and how they explained it. And I just have a deep appreciation and love for episode 3. And I don't know that it's my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's one that I would just pick out and watch by itself without watching all of them together.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's by far my favorite of the prequels, by far.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it's the only like really good one, in my opinion. But you said something interesting there, and in that, and you started by when you were talking about episode 9 by saying like there's some good stuff there, but it's just overshadowed by so much bad. And I think
Hmm.
that um, episode 3 Sith is the exact opposite of that. Like there's some bad in there for sure. It's like it's
Hmm.
some of the directing's not great, a lot of the CGI is not great. I don't really love the look of the
Hmm.
movie, but there's so much great stuff in there too. And it overshadows the bad. Like it takes
Yeah.
over, and you just forget about some of the bad stuff. And I've said this before, like I make a bad movie critic because I want to like what I'm watching.
I'm the
I
same. Yeah.
So
Mm.
constantly I'm like, I'm going to use the word make excuses, but I'll justify things, and I'll like
Yeah.
overlook things, or look past things because I want to like the movie. And if the movie does enough for me to love it, then it's just so easy to forget the bad stuff. And I think
Hmm.
that encapsulates how I feel about episode 3.
So one of the things I also have a greater appreciation for now that I didn't at the time is you talk about the Clone Wars. Like just watching the prequel trilogy, it didn't make sense how Palpatine had so much sway over Anakin and how he just quickly turned. Like just watching 2 and 3 back to back, it's like, but Obi-Wan's always been there for you. He's cared for you. He's basically raised you. This man has just talked to you a few times and you're like, oh, let me abandon everything I stood for. Watching the Clone Wars, that turn makes so much more sense. And watching that movie after watching the Clone Wars series, it's so much more impactful.
Well, I wonder if I should watch the Clone Wars series then. I've never watched it. And I know both
Joel,
of you are shocked, but like
I can be disappointed in you for once.
but maybe that's why the prequel trilogies just has not really hit for me in the same way because I have not watched that series at all. I felt like I feel like I've watched the first few episodes and didn't quite get
You've
hooked.
got to get through
So
the first season.
okay,
Yeah,
it's
I'll
never a
add.
good sign for me
No,
when someone
I'll
says.
fix that. I'll fix that recommendation or that sentence, Chris. And I was gonna mention this earlier. We were talking about Clone Wars, but um, Clone Wars is a kids show. And even though there's lots of really great lore and really great character building, um, and all of that stuff, there's a lot of kid stuff in there, and especially in the first season. So I would not say watch it all, and I would not say start of the first season. What I would say is Google Star Wars Clone Wars essential episodes.
Okay.
Mm.
And Disney Plus actually had an essentials episode kind of subcategory that had that in there as well. And I don't know if
Hmm.
that matches the one that I googled or looked up. I did watch all of the Clone Wars and I got value from just about all of it, but I would very much recommend, if you value your time, to just like look up the essential episodes, because there's plenty of episodes where like C3PO and R2D2 land on a random planet and solve a problem for the locals,
Sure.
and that's the whole episode.
Hmm.
And like there's a bunch of those episodes that are not really doing much other than entertaining children. So I would just like, yeah. Google that, you'll
But I
be
feel
good.
like as the show goes, and especially in later seasons, that becomes less and less.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like
It
the
takes
last
itself
two
way
or
more
three
seriously.
seasons, yeah, the last 2 or 3 seasons, I don't feel like
Yeah,
there's an episode to
most of
skip.
those episodes, if not all of them, will be on that essentials list in terms of like the last 2 3 seasons.
Yeah,
But the
All right.
first kind of chunk has quite a bit of filler episodes.
yeah.
Well,
The last season especially is so good, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
gut wrenching at the end of it.
yeah. So good,
To me, anyway, it
so
was.
good.
But yeah,
maybe that'll be a summer project. That sounds fun.
there you go.
I'm
All right.
looking forward to hearing about it. And anytime somebody like, somebody nerdy in my circle like experiences something for the first time, I just want to like see it through their eyes and be like, "What did you think?" Like. So I'm looking forward to it.
Hence why we talked about Alien for 2 hours one night
Yes,
last fall.
exactly. Yeah, that was super fun for me to like,
Yeah,
experience Alien through you a little bit because you hadn't seen it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Matt, what is your second movie slash show?
This is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yep.
And it's not an original series movie. So my favorite is The Last Jedi, and I know that's gonna like ruffle some feathers, or some people have a hard time with that. But more and more, man, I'm telling
Mhm.
you, there's a ton of people that have this at the top of their list or as their favorite, especially like in the circle of cinephiles versus just like casual film people that like love Star Wars, that consider themselves like part of that Star Wars fandom, right?
Mhm.
And I think that some of those people are a little too precious with their IP, and they just want the same thing fed to
They
them.
want nostalgia back.
Yeah.
Yeah, which you can't like. That doesn't. It's not a thing that you exists, and if you do it at the expense of art and good storytelling. And I think that's what happened with episode 9. And you can do a lot of that better, which I think is what J.J. Abrams did with episode 7. There's a ton of nostalgia. It's a retread of a lot of the episode 4 stuff. And it's just a lot of what you recognize and love from Star Wars in the first place.
Mhm.
And I think that he did it fairly well without being overly pandering to the fans. And honestly, I'm not sure where the line is there. But I think that the last to twist this back to talking about The Last Jedi, I think that Ryan Johnson took a lot of stuff that we love about Star Wars and had it in there, but he was not afraid to just tell an original story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that even though he did not just tread the same path and do what like that fandom wanted him to do, the way that J.J. Abrams kind of caved and went in that direction with episode 9, I just think that Ryan Johnson went and told an incredible original story that you couldn't just predict. You couldn't just like go in and know what he was going to do. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
just remember coming out of episode 7, and a lot of the conversations was like, who do we think Ray is? And as a person who at that point was not like a huge original trilogy guy, I loved them, but like didn't grow up on it, wasn't part of my core, my soul. That question to me was like, of like, who do you think Ray is? Who do you think Ray's parents are? I remember my buddy asking me that. I'm like, why is that a question? Like,
Who
who do you think
cares?
who do you think Han Solo's parents are? Who do you think anybody's parents are? Who do you think
Right.
like, why is that a question? Why is that relevant? Who like she's a nobody, and she's got swept up on this adventure. Like, why isn't that good enough? And anyways, I just found that question really struck me, and I thought this is so weird. But yeah, the salt planet scene with all the red
S-
coming out is
Hmm.
just
Absolutely
like
beautiful.
unbelievable storytelling and unbelievable visuals. The fight with Kylo, again, fandom, some of the fandom didn't love it, but like I just think that that's such a twist on what we're used to seeing, and in such an original, interesting way. The and then the throne room fight after Snoke's death.
Yeah.
with those guards is like maybe it's probably my favorite ever action sequence in Star Wars. I think it's just so gorgeous and so cool. And even the death of Snoke, like who saw that coming? He was
So
the big bad.
unpredictable.
Like
Yeah.
nobody saw that coming. And like you do original storytelling and you take us by surprise like that, like that is great stuff. And anyways, Last Jedi, my favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
Which I feel like that's one that when it first came out got a lot of hate, but over the years, people have garnered a much deeper appreciation for. I'm waiting for that to happen with episode 9.
Oh, that is
So I couldn't even
from
say it without laughing. Sorry.
yeah.
It will listen, it will happen though. There will be people that grew up and these were their Star Wars movies, and they'll be like, "I loved it" at the end, right? Because
Yeah.
we saw this happen with the prequels, right? Like
Yeah.
the prequels were a joke when they came out to people who were my
True.
age,
Yeah.
to people who were my age who grew up on the originals, right? And then I remember when I started teaching students who were like, "Oh, the original trilogy is really boring. I love the prequel trilogy," and I was like,
Yeah.
are you joking with me right now?" So it'll happen with the sequels. But
Yeah.
Matt,
Absolutely.
Matt, you are among friends. I do not understand the hate that this movie gets. I think
Well,
it is brilliant.
I'll interrupt you for
Absolutely.
1 second and just say I don't think it gets that much hate. I think the very small minority group that do hate it are
Are
just
so
so
loud.
loud
Well,
and
they have
and
drowned out
relentless and
a lot of
relentless.
positivity. I had
Yeah.
the exact same feelings you did in the theater, right? So, like I said, I loved the original trilogy, grew up on them. I was disappointed in the prequel trilogy. Every time I went very excited to go see a Star Wars movie, and every time I came out like, okay, I get it. You know, like it was I like Revenge of the Sith more than the others, but it just it for me it didn't have the impact that I wanted it to have, right?
Mhm.
And I walked out of The Last Jedi being like, this is a reinvention, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is the doors are opened. We can go anywhere now. We don't have to keep telling the story of
Yes.
the Skywalkers and, those sorts of things,
I love
which
how
is the,
open-ended he left it. You're
yeah,
absolutely right. It's
absolutely.
yeah.
And one of the big tragedies for me is then what happened with episode 9, where it's like, no, just kidding. Somehow
Yeah.
Palpatine
Worst.
has returned, right? Like,
The worst.
like, to take all that potential and just squander it was just heartbreaking to
It's
me
the
because
most
Yeah.
cowardly is the word. It's the most cowardly film
yeah,
ever made.
yeah. I remember so vividly walking out of the theater and being like, I'm so excited for Star Wars like I haven't been as a kid, right? Like
Yeah.
just the things that I saw there that I, as you said, I couldn't predict, and the directions it went that I was so like intrigued by and interested by, and the way that he allowed characters to develop not in the way you thought you wanted them to, right?
Hmm.
But in the way that is like real and human and makes them more grounded, right? Like, what does
Mhm.
it mean to have had an incredible impact in your youth and then to feel like you've lost your way as an adult, right? And
Yeah.
like at the same time, it is clearly for kids, opening up the door for kids, right, to enjoy these Star Wars movies
Yeah.
again. And I don't know. I'm very passionate. I didn't know this was going to be on your list, and so I'm just so
Oh, I
excited to
did.
hear that. So
Yeah.
It's my
I knew
favorite.
I've heard you talk about this being your favorite Star Wars movie, so I was not surprised.
Yeah. It's the best.
It's a
Empire
great one.
Empire
I
is a
love that
very,
one.
very, very close second. I think like I agree with everything you said about Empire. Last Jedi, Andor, Empire. Those are probably my top three.
well, let me top off that then with the other one that Chris wanted me to talk about earlier. Rogue One to me, I think, is also just a great movie, and
So good.
I think it just does. I won't talk about it too much. We've talked a ton about Andor and things, but I think it does a movie that I when I heard about it, I was like, we know how this movie ends. Why is this going to
Yeah.
be an exciting watch? Do we really need a whole movie about getting Princess Leia the Death Star plans? And
But we needed Ben Mendelsohn.
that's right.
We
And
Yes,
did. We didn't know it, but we did.
we
and
did.
we needed to see them on the beach, right?
Yeah.
As you know what is about to happen, and again,
Yeah,
as we talked about with Andor, like, oh, this is about sacrifice, and this is about
Hmm.
like real costs and things,
yeah.
uh and I'm one with the force is with me,
It's with
like,
me.
all of that stuff, like, it just, still just gives me
Yeah.
chills. I love it. So,
Well, and I mentioned we watched Rogue One right after we finished Andor. I had enjoyed Rogue One the few times we had seen it prior to that. That movie was so much richer
yeah.
and deeper of an experience
Yeah.
with the Andor storyline, following that up. And so
A
I
really
think that
simple
that elevated
example.
the movie even more.
Yeah, a really simple example is at the beginning of Rogue One when Andor kills that guy in the alleyway because to protect the rebellion, to protect the
Mhm.
bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that felt a little bit off in a Star Wars movie when I first watched Rogue One. And then
Yeah.
after watching Andor, it fits absolutely right in. What is the
Hmm.
cost? Like the cost of freedom and like you said it earlier, Joel. Um the cost, like really that's the theme of for me for Andor is what is the cost of true freedom and doing what has to be done versus you know what what people expect you to do or what fandom expects out of a character.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Alright, what do you
Yeah.
got, Chris?
All right. So my second one is Ahsoka. Um, because I loved her journey and story throughout the entire Clone Wars show. And so what's interesting is when the Ahsoka live action show was announced was the catalyst for us watching all of the animated series, going back and watching all of Clone Wars, The Bad Batch, Rebels, completionist in me. I even looked up a timeline and we watched the episodes of Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi within all of those shows as you're supposed to. Um, so we watched all of that to lead up to Ahsoka. And I don't think you have to do that, but I'm really glad we did because I would not have known any of these characters or understood any of them. And I really think you could call Ahsoka the Rebels live action show because that's
Yeah.
essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. I mean, I think the casting choices were great. And Rosario Dawson does great as Ahsoka. And the filmography was great. The Some of the lightsaber sequences were fantastic, and the story was really good. And I like how it brought it back in the Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Mm.
Really cool storyline. And I mean, more Thrawn's always good. He's a super intimidating
Yeah.
character, and getting the guy that did the voice for him in the animated show as the live action actor was a great choice. And so I'm super excited for season two. I think it's coming out sometime this year. And so um, it's one that has really the caused the result of our love and appreciation and depth of knowledge of the Star Wars universe being as vast as it is now, because of what we went back and watched to get to the show.
Yeah, underrated. I didn't absolutely love Ahsoka, but like it deserves more love than I think we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be near as impactful as like an Andor or a Mandalorian, but it's an amazing show.
Mhm.
And so, all right, well, that was all the shows and movies. Now we're going to talk about one favorite non-board game or movie piece of media. Matt, you want to start us off again?
Yeah, mine was is Lost Stars, Star Wars Lost Stars. Have you either of you read this?
I have not.
No.
No, okay. So yeah, it is a book that is the two central characters are a female rebel pilot and a male imperial pilot. Um
Okay.
and they started on this little planet as best friends growing up, and they both got drafted to the Empire Academy or whatnot, and then our female character defected to the rebellion, and then the male character continued into the Empire, and we basically follow these two characters as they move through the events of the original trilogy. And so
Okay.
you kind of in the background sort of see what's happening in the original trilogy behind what these characters are actually doing. And then they cross in and out of some of the actual battles. They're involved in certain battles. And yeah, so it's really cool to see like both angles, right? A little bit similar to what we see in Andor to a much lesser extent, but like, you see the quote unquote bad guys who some of them you're actually sort of rooting for, and they're there doing what they think is right. And then so you see that from both sides with it, which I think is really interesting. But it's just really fun to sort of follow two ancillary small characters that in theory you saw flying, you know, X-wings and TIE fighters in the background of the actual movies,
Sure.
end up being, in this book as the main characters, kind of, again, washing through the events of the original of the all three original trilogy movies. So it's kind of fun
Interesting.
to watch that almost as like, and it's very subtle. It's not super obvious in some of the cases. But if you're paying attention and you know the original trilogy really well, it's a blast to read through that book. So Star Wars Lost Stars.
Interesting. I
Nice.
just added that to my list of books to read because that sounds really intriguing.
Yeah. Well, I went old school with my pick, and it's been a long time since I've played this, and so I'm not going to be able to give you a super great synopsis of it. But um, one of my big gaming regrets is that I have never really played an RPG, but I have played a lot of video game RPGs, and
Okay.
I remember playing the first time through Knights of the Old Republic, and just absolutely loving it. It's a game. Have either of you played this, or do you know this game?
I've heard it's
I
great.
know of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's set several thousand years before the era of Star Wars that all the movies are about, and that's one thing I really enjoy about it. Star Wars, I feel like there's so much potential for
Hmm.
huge stories and worlds and things to explore, and yet as much as I love it, we're always exploring the same sort of period of time, right? And the whole point of this galactic empire, is that it's like we're seeing the tail end of of this era of the Jedi and all those sorts of things. And
Yeah.
so this is set thousands of years before, where we've got the Sith and we've got the Jedi, and you are a character who is a Padawan, and kind of going around, and you go to different planets and solve different kind of things. But there's a storyline that goes through, that I don't know. Do I spoil it for you right now? Do I tell you like why it's so amazing, or do I not? I'm torn. I'm gonna do it. All right. So if you don't want to hear this for this old game, go ahead and skip forward about 2 minutes and things. But as you're playing, you're tracking down this Sith Lord, and what you discover over the course of the game is that your character is actually a Sith Lord and has had
Oh.
the memory erased. And so
Mm,
throughout the game you're choosing like light side and dark side actions and things like that, and then there's this moment of discovery where you find out that you are this evil character that everybody has been talking about and afraid of, and you didn't realize it, and you have to
that's
kind of
cool.
like
Interesting.
decide then, okay, am I going to go back to this, right? Or am I going to stay on the light side? And the game allows you to go either direction. You
That's
can
so
finish the
cool.
game and choose the dark side, right? And like go through it, and there's no like redemptive moment at the end. Or you can decide to stay with the light side, or to go do the light side, along the way, as you make these choices and stuff. But it's just a game that I think is super fun, super great. I'm sure if I replayed it now, I'd be like, oh, these mechanisms aren't quite the same as they used to be. But uh, but it doesn't matter. I had a great time with it. It is one of the few games that I did play. Like, it's a very long game, and I did play it through a couple of times because I wanted to kind of explore both paths a little bit and see like what was out there. And I don't usually do that with video games. So Knights of the Old Republic, it was from LucasArts, and I think BioWare was the other company behind it. So
Nice.
yeah, good stuff.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, I went book as well. And I picked, I mentioned in our first episode that I haven't been much of a reader for most of my adult life. And really, it was, again, watching the Clone Wars. And it was the episode where they go to an old Sith temple and Yoda explains who Darth Bane was and the rule of two. And I remember after that episode, it's like like Joel mentioned, like everything we know is like the end of this Republic era that spawned forever. I mean, I don't know how many years really, but more than 1,000, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of years. We'll just say it that way. And I just remember thinking, there's so much to this universe that I don't know, and I want to learn more. And so I reached out to a buddy and said, "Hey, if I wanted to read some novels, where should I start?" And he had a long list of recommendations. And it's kind of funny, like I wouldn't have picked the Darth Bane trilogy, but it just so happened that Caitlin went to the library. I told her to get me something, and I sent her some ideas. Well, she got me a book that wasn't the first in a series, and I was like, "Well, I don't want to start in the middle of the series." So she took it back, and then she got me the first book in the Bane trilogy, and so that was the first book that I read in the Star Wars extended universe. And holy cow, that trilogy was phenomenal. And that's been all, it'll be 2 years ago this July, and has spawned a love for reading. And I have read a lot of Star Wars books and a couple other book series outside of the Star Wars universe as well. But um, really, really solid series, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. And just the interesting backstory is, at that point of the first book, the Sith Order was as vast as the Jedi Order that we know of before Revenge of the Sith,
Mm.
where they were all over the galaxy and there were tons of them. And they were corrupt and had their issues. And Darth Bane saw that and decided, we're going to change this. And that's when he instituted the rule of two and kind of took over the Sith as
Mm.
it was at the time. And so that's kind of the first book. And then the second book and third book ends up being about his apprentice. And, you know, as it goes, as we joked about, eventually the apprentice goes after to kill the master to take their own apprentice. And so like that's the whole like second and third book is kind of about their journey together. And really, really solid series.
Cool.
That sounds great.
I've not read any of the like expanded universe or legends novels. I've only read
Yeah.
canon stuff.
Okay.
So I just like, yeah, because when I started reading that, when I started wanting to read Star Wars, that distinction had already been made. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna
Sure.
stick to canon and just keep everything kind of straight in my head.
I mean, I like to
So that's where I
I
am
like to
now.
pretend they are canon, but
Sure, yeah,
that's
yeah, by all means.
but
I
it's
like to
tough.
pretend
And
episode 9 is not canon.
the tough thing is with some of the books, like the Thrawn trilogy and the New Jedi Order that I'm reading right now, is Han and Leia have 3 kids. 2 of them are twins named Jaina and Jason, and the third one, the younger one, is named Anakin. So like, I don't know how we go from that in my canon mind to
Yeah.
Kylo Ren,
Mhm.
but like I'll
Yeah.
figure that out one day and report back.
Okay, you let us know.
Okay. All right.
Amazing. Well, that is a lot of Star Wars content that we all love, but not everything out there has been turned into a game yet. So we have one more segment today, and that's what Star Wars game is missing out there that we would like to see happen. And we approach this in a couple of different ways. We put out a little request on social media for suggestions for games that could be rethemed as Star Wars. And we also thought about like Star Wars games that just they're not out there, and we want to see them. We want to see what
Mhm.
that would look like in board game form. So I don't know what order we want to do this in here. Do we just want to like open conversation here, maybe, and jump around a little bit with some of our things that we're going to share here? We'll also share some of the listener input that we received. Uh, and yeah, Chris, why don't you start with one of your picks for this, and then maybe some listener content?
Okay, sure. Atlas on TikTok had this as one of their picks as well, so I'll give them a shout out. But I would love to see a Star Wars themed dice throne set. I
Mm.
think, I mean, the Marvel stuff was great and a lot of
It's
fun,
just Star
but
Wars Destiny.
holy cow, you could, yeah, but not a TCG, Matt. Um, I would love to see Manny's art on some of these
Yeah.
characters,
Oh
and
yeah, that'd be fun.
I would love to see some really cool character designs, because I love all the Star Wars, or not all, I'm sorry, I love all the Dice Throne stuff. some of the Marvel and X-Men characters are some of the most unique and interesting character designs they have, and I think they could
Yeah.
do that. Just thinking of a few characters, like I feel like Darth Vader, Anakin, you could have a really cool combo where like you are Anakin and you can flip to Darth Vader at some point. Like
Yeah.
there could be a really cool like flip combo mechanism there. Obviously, with Force users, Ahsoka, Yoda, there's no end to the cool abilities they could have. I mean, Darth Maul, just because he's awesome, could be a cool character. But and honestly, like we've talked about the eras of Star Wars, you could have a different set with every era because there's no end to characters you could include.
Yep.
And so I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't know that Dice Stone's ever going to do another IP, but if they did, I would happily spend too much money on Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
I decided to kind of limit my dice throne right now to the IP. So I've got the Marvel sets, and I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable amount to play. But if they did Star Wars, I would be back in for that
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't back the most recent one for that reason because I have literally every character made until that the Vanguard and then the solo character they released earlier this year. For that reason, I just don't need more at this point. But um, I would happily buy Star Wars Dice Run.
well, since you brought it up, let's read Atlas's other suggestions. He had a bunch, or she had a bunch. I'm not sure. Thunder Road Vendetta as a pod racer.
Oh yeah.
Wormspan. Yeah, that would be fun, right? Wormspan, but the caves are ship hangers and the dragons are spaceships.
I'm in. Way more interesting game.
Well, you do hate dragons, so known fact on the podcast. Black Rose Wars, but you have Jedi and Sith. Have you guys played Black Rose Wars?
I
No.
haven't. I've seen it, but I don't know anything about it really.
I enjoy it. It's a fun one. Every character has a different school of magic, and so it would work
Okay,
easily with like force powers
sure,
and things like that. Moonrakers, but with bounty hunters.
Oh yeah,
nice.
good one.
Yeah, I could see that working too.
I'll piggyback off of that real quick because Kyle, also known as Ted, I have two of my favorite people on the face of the earth. Two of my best friends are both named Kyle, so they have nicknames. So Kyle Ted also mentioned a pod racing game taking elements from Thunder Road Vendetta and wacky racing games like Hot Streak and Magical Athlete. So
Yeah, that would work.
and then
And
my wife had also mentioned a pod racing game, but Steampunk Rally, if you've played it, where in Steampunk Rally it's a racing game, but you're building your racing machine as the race goes and you're losing parts of it and taking parts off and adding parts to it. And so it's just kind of crazy and silly and would definitely fit with a pod racing theme.
yeah, my buddy Dylan, who commented on TikTok as Manadork, he also suggested a pod racing game. He was going for Heat as a pod racing game, which I could see because you gotta, manage the engine and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And
sure, sure.
Chris, you're making faces here, but that's because of your hatred of Heat, which is a mistaken hatred. You are incorrect about your dislike of that game.
I don't
So,
hate it.
uh
It's
huh.
just not my favorite. I think the other suggestions sound more interesting for a pod racing game personally,
No
but
way,
that's
Heat's
just me.
great. Heat's
Okay.
great. All right. Matt, do you have a pick for a game you would like to see?
Yeah, this one's a little bit on the nose. If this game was more in the cultural zeitgeist, if more people had played it or were familiar with it'd probably be low hanging fruit. But because it's not that well known, I figured it's fair game. So it's Federation. Have either of you played Federation?
I
No,
have
I would
not.
really
Yeah,
like to
okay. So
though.
that it lends even more further to my point. It's an underrated game. It's probably a top 10 game for me of all time. It's worker placement, and but a huge part of the theme of the game is voting in a senate.
Mm,
And I think a lot of the visual stuff is sort of borrowed from Star Wars. They do have that sort of like pod that each senator is kind of sitting in, so they have that as part of the theme, but it's more wacky aliens, a little bit more cartoony and whatnot. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a worker placement game, and it's fantastic in terms of the mechanisms. But there are like every time you place a worker, it's on a grid, of like, I want to say 8 by 4 or something like that. And so each of these grid areas is a worker placement location. But when you place your worker there, you're influencing the column that you're in, or like voting for something, or putting influence in the column, in the like horizontal row as well. And it's split into two sides, the left side and the right side. And so there's three sort of things that you're voting for or influencing by placing your worker in that specific area in this grid. So it's very much voting as part of the theme, though it is not a mechanism where people actually vote for anything, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a voting
Yeah.
game. Voting is
Okay.
just part of the theme, if that makes any kind of sense. But
Yeah,
Federation would be
absolutely.
really cool as just a pure reskin into Star Wars, because it's almost there in the first place.
Nice.
Nice.
To check that one out. That sounds really fun.
It's amazing.
Mhm.
So when I posted about this on social media, I gave 4 suggestions there, so I'll just quickly hit those without too much elaboration. Stone Spine Architects, I love that game. I think it would work great as like building Jabba's palace, or the dungeons really below Jabba's palace, right? I think
Mhm.
you could
This is
basically
probably my
just change,
favorite of the
yeah,
of the ones. Yeah.
change change the art and you got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when I thought of it, I think it's just because of the way those on the art of the cards currently look, the stone walls and things. But I was like, that would be fun to be like developing Echo Base from Empire Strikes Back, right? Where
Hmm.
different rooms and maybe traps along the way if the Empire makes their way in, that you're trying to, prevent them from getting in deeper. I think that would be
Could be
really fun.
post Battle of Hoth, where
There you
they're
go.
now
Yeah,
actually infiltrating and going in.
exactly. Sky Team as a Kessel Run version, right? Where instead of landing the plane, you are navigating around the different asteroids and things like that. And I think that would be a lot of fun. The 2 player uh, uh, pairing there of piloting and co-piloting the Millennium Falcon, right? I think that would
Hmm.
be a pretty good one.
Sign me
Um,
up for that one.
yeah. Uh, I it's not Zombicide, but Zombicide, right, is a good system for like throwing hordes of enemies at you, and you've got a little team that is going to level up in skills and fight back on them. And so turn those zombies into stormtroopers and droids and clones coming at you, and I think that would be a great system that you could make a
Mhm.
very accessible, like minis heavy adventure game for people to play through. And the current Zombicide system, they have like one-off scenarios, but they also have campaigns, so you could definitely theme it around something like that if you wanted a bigger story. But if you really want a story, what I would love to see is Star Wars, the living card game, in the vein of Arkham Horror, the living card game, where you have campaigns and different tasks that you're trying to do. Each scenario has locations. Instead of Doom, approaching on the agenda, which is a mechanic in Arkham Horror, the living card game. If you haven't played that before, it's one of the ways the game advances and tries to kill you. Is each round you have to
It
add
doesn't
Doom to the
try to kill
agenda.
you, it kills you.
Yes. And instead, that if that's the encroaching power of the empire as they're getting closer and closer to destroying you, like I would love to see that. And I know that Star Wars is a hard IP to actually get approval of, and this would probably be impossible because you could do campaigns that are just retelling the stories. But again, as we've talked about, I think the exciting part would be to do like branching
Deviate.
campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're maybe encountering people that you've seen, but it's not necessarily just recreating the movie beats and the TV show beats again. And there'd just be so much to choose from as you are figuring out what kinds of in Arkham Horror, you've got 5 different classes, and you could come up with classes easily, right? Like you've got Jedi's, you've
Hmm.
got scoundrels, you've got
The same way
all,
the deck
all those.
building does.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it would be so much fun. Okay, so those are my 4
Yeah.
immediate picks, and I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, okay, I want to add to that a little bit. So, first one is I would love to see a hidden movement game. Fury of Dracula just announced like a fifth edition or sixth edition. I don't even know which edition it's on
I
now.
think
That
it's
they're
6 now.
Yeah, that another version is coming out. How about the hunt for Cassian Andor, where instead of
Ooh.
Dracula,
Ooh,
right,
that'd
you're
be cool.
looking for Cassian Andor, and so you've got the Empire forces there who are the group of players, and then the one is Cassian Andor who's going to these different locations and trying to convert the people, just like Dracula is trying to like create more
Yeah.
vampires and do those sorts of things, right? He's trying to get them on the side of the rebellion,
That's one I'd play.
stay hidden. Yeah, I think it'd be
You could
great.
almost have
That sounds
different
fun.
scenarios with it too,
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
right?
I love that. I think it'd
That'd
be
be really
fun.
cool.
I was proud of that idea. So,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
a
good
good one.
one. Should be a
let me
game
hit up a
designer.
couple. Let me hit up a couple more from social media here. Andra Leo on TikTok said he rethemed Hansa Teutonica for Star Wars, and I asked him a little bit more about it. And he basically said it was mostly just an aesthetic change, but the idea is trying to chart hyperspace routes between planets and creating trade victories for the factions. So, all right, I could see it
Interesting.
working. It wouldn't be
I
my
can't
go-to, but
imagine Hansa Teutonica being any more pretty or any more interesting. It has hit the peak of what great
It can
theming
offer.
and great visuals could reach.
Yeah. When I
uh,
think beautiful and amazing theme, that's the first thing that comes to my head.
he also said that he's working on a Star Wars Fantasy Realms retheme, and then later turned it into Lord of the Rings, and so that's
Oh,
another
nice.
possibility there as well, which is cool. So let me hit one more of these because we had some pretty good
Yeah,
feedback.
it's a good
Yeah.
I
one.
was pleased. Uh, Steve with a PH on TikTok. One of my current favorite games is Castle Panic. I've never played Castle Panic. Do you guys know Castle Panic?
Yeah, it's a tower defense game basically where it's cooperative and you've got monsters coming in and you're trying to defeat them before they knock down the castle.
Oh, nice. Well,
It's I mean, we ended up culling it. We played it a couple times. It was fine. It
okay.
just wasn't one that we were going to pull back out, but this might stick around.
Yeah, he said I could. It could be a fun game to make Star Wars themed Republic versus Separatists, clones defending a fort, or a ship with droids attacking.
Yeah,
So
Mhm.
absolutely.
yeah, I like that also.
So spell Steve with a PH. Spell that for
So
me.
so on TikTok, it is spelled Steve with a WITHA underscore PH.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's his whole name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were just calling him Steve and you knew this person. So you were saying Steve with a PH. That's how he spells it. I'm like, spell that. What is it? Steven,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. Sidetracked.
That's funny.
No, it's
No,
all
you're
good.
good. On we got one response of me sharing your stuff on the podcast feed, Instagram, and it was hit. I'm assuming it's hit for D cycle, like D as in the like hit for the cycle,
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
or maybe it's hit forward cycle. I don't know.
Hit Ford cycle.
Um,
Okay.
but they said Lords of Waterdeep.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not quite sure how. I asked a follow up question and I never got a response from them. So I would be interested to know what they would want out of a Lords of Waterdeep retheme of in Star Wars.
Yeah, the city building part, I'm trying to imagine what that would look like exactly. There's a lot of
Right.
missions and things that you go on in Waterdeep, which I could see that piece, but what would you actually be building there would be a question I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They could just be missions or something instead of
Yeah.
buildings. I don't know. But then they're physically on the board. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like there's an idea there. I just want to hear it fleshed out a little bit more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I also had a few friend responses that I'll go through. Goodman said a pick up and deliver game where you're smugglers and you have to interact with Empire and or rebels depending on the sectors you're traveling. Now, that sounds very reminiscent of Outer Rim, but I feel like there could potentially be some different stuff happening there. And then Nick says a 4X game where you play as a faction, either rebel, empire, or scoundrel.
Yep.
But the interesting thing that I like what he said is the empires and rebels are fighting each other while the scoundrels are fighting everybody. And each side is trying to take over the galaxy.
Right.
And then Kyle Ted had a couple of other cool ideas. A Gloomhaven style dungeon crawler where you can play as scoundrels, force users, and even droids potentially, which one of my kids also mentioned. So I'll piggyback off there. Our 11-year-old said a campaign game, kind of like Tidal Blades 2 or Gloomhaven, where you encounter the bad guys and fight them through a storyline set throughout the Skywalker saga of movies, and they even mentioned like expansions. You could bring in the shows and side stories and stuff too. And then the last one Ted said was a polyomino game where you're building a lightsaber and you have to match up colored kyber crystals as your point objectives.
Mm.
And that sounds super fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's the first sort of abstract that we've suggestion that we've
Yeah.
gotten. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Doc, which is New Orleans Kyle, he said something themed around space combat. And he said, I know that there Rebellion, you've got space combat. There's a little bit of it in outer rim. But he said there's nothing that's just full on. You're in space, you're fighting, and
Right. Like a
so I don't
war
know
game.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a war game, or I kind of something like Arcs maybe, but a
Right.
better game.
Yeah.
So sorry, I think that slipped out. That was an inside thought. Uh,
It's okay if you don't
so
get it. It's okay if you don't get it.
two more
listen,
two more real quick ones from social media. Akil on TikTok said an Animal Crossing style game would be fun. You could just make a little planet your own and meet characters and maybe fly a ship to someone else's planet. And I don't
Yeah,
know if that screams Star Wars to me, but sure, why not?
that'd be
Sounds
cute.
fun.
I mean, not everything has to be fighty and combat and exploration. It can just be like, hey, let's be friends in the universe.
And then the setup phase, who I follow on TikTok also, he's got good stuff. He
Yeah,
just said Clank Star Wars, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on board for that. I like that idea a lot.
100%.
And just like I was saying with a Fury of Dracula style hidden movement, like this secret mission to get into a place and get out of the place, like I mean that seems custom built for Star Wars.
Yeah,
Love it.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, setup phase does a lot of really cool stuff on TikTok. If you're not following him, check him out.
Yeah, for sure. Any more from you guys?
I think I just had one last one. I was just thinking, like, Star Wars has so many interesting characters and interesting looking
Mhm.
characters. And it's just like, ripe for like great art, right?
Mm,
And so I was thinking, like, what game has just a lot of characters, that could be cool art? And Citizens of the Spark was a recent,
yeah.
discussion of yours and I's, and that's I played that game a lot in the last couple of years. It's become one of my go-tos. But yeah, just so many great characters that you could put on those cards, and it's purely just for the look of it. Thematically, you do what you want with it. Senators, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's because it's Citizens of the Spark is doing so many different things, right? Well, on the military side and political side, etc. So it would just fit perfectly, I think, in there. It'd be easy to do thematically, and you would get to see all the rich characters on the cards.
I'm
Yeah,
on board for that. I love Citizens of the Spark, and I think that would be it. Yeah, it's totally an easy fit, right? You can just have
yeah,
each character type does a little something different, and perfect. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
super fun.
That'd be great.
Do that one for sure.
So my second one, and I feel like some people have kind of talked around this in a similar way, but I'm thinking like a legacy style game. Um, and there's so many options there, but I feel like the main thing is you choose a character and you're like the game is you playing through their life basically, and maybe you grow up in the Jedi Order or you're a scavenger and you have to get discovered. I don't know how you do that exactly, but basically like you're in the Jedi Order, you're a youngling, you're a Padawan, you're leveling up your abilities. At some point in the game you have to choose, like there's something that happens that could sway you to the dark side, and you have to make a choice. Do I want to stay to the light? Do I want to go to the dark side? And it could potentially be a cooperative game if everybody stays on the light side, but if somebody switches to the dark side there could be a competitive element to it. I feel like there's a whole lot of potential and options there that I don't know how to flesh all that out because I don't have the brain capacity to come up with legacy games. I don't know how they write those and how they make them work, but I feel like there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. I love legacy games, so I would be on board for that for sure.
Um, Caitlin had a few more. She said a droid building game,
Oh, that'd
and
be
I
cool.
just
That's
yeah,
fun.
I kind of thought about Bot Factory because that's you're building robots, but it doesn't have to be that exact game system.
Yeah.
But it could just be like you've got to get the part. It could be like an abomination type thing where you've got to get the parts and you've got to put them
Yeah.
together. And I don't know, there's a whole lot of games that could work along that line. She mentioned a Radlands retheme,
Ooh,
um,
love that.
and that could
Though I
be
do
kind of
love
like
the
a
theme of Radlands already. It's so good.
sure, yeah. I'm not saying it, yeah, not that it's a bad theme, but like
Yeah.
I feel like you could do like the crime syndicate
Yeah.
bosses against like there it wouldn't have to be like Sith versus Jedi
Yeah.
necessarily. Like there's some other factions in the game that you could do. I thought this was funny, a Boop reskin, but it's droids versus clones. So it's literally just changing the artwork and the wooden pieces would be really cute and funny. And I think my favorite one of hers that she mentioned was like a Mandalorian retheme of Western Legends. So just like an
Oh
open
yeah.
sandbox game where
Yeah,
you're just going around and taking
I mean, The
actions. And
Mandalorian is very much a Western
it's a
anyways.
Western,
yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And then our 15-year-old mentioned a dungeon crawl D&D choose your own adventure type of game, but he specifically said set during episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, and you fight through all the battles, and the main focus is the battles and the fights, and the storyline would be different based on which character you choose to play.
Mm.
And then the big boss fight would be the duel on Mustafar, and the boss would be whoever you're not playing as. So, like, if you're playing through it as Anakin, at the end you're fighting against Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
or if you choose to play as Obi-Wan, your storyline is going to, going to fight Grievous. I don't remember the planet name off the top of my head, but where he has that battle with Grievous, and then he ends up fighting Anakin as the big final boss. And so, I thought that was kind of cool and creative.
If you really,
Yeah, that's
really
great.
want to get like thematic with the original trilogy, you do like a Senate and you do like meetings and voting and talking about trade routes. That would be the role playing
Yeah,
that I think that people could really, sink their
Of
teeth into.
of the prequel trilogy. Yes,
Oh, did I say
definitely.
yeah,
sequel? I definitely
You
meant prequel. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
That's the thrill of that prequel trilogy.
The thing that nobody's mentioned, Matt, that I'm trying to come up with is what game system would work well for the return of Palpatine. Nobody's
So,
mentioned
Oh,
anything,
God.
but I don't know how you incorporate that.
what if you don't even need a game for it? What if we just all agreed that somehow Palpatine returns and we go from there?
Sure.
You could write for Disney, my friend.
If only I knew this was going to be an impromptu running joke on the show, I would have made the Mad Lib. I would have written one about the return of Palpatine.
Well, I wanna hear that Mad Lib, but I do have one more that I came up with that I was excited about, and then maybe we can hear the Mad Lib. So I was thinking, kind of like you were, Chris, about like one of the things that we frequently see in Star Wars movies is like someone training and becoming a Jedi, right? There,
Hmm.
it's kind of the heart of the original trilogy. It's kind of the heart of the prequel trilogy, and it's kind of the heart of the sequel trilogy. But what about the other side of that, right? What about the like Sith and how they grow in the dark side? And I was like, okay, what is a game that would kind of reflect that a little bit? And I was looking at my shelf and I saw one of my favorite area control games, and that is Blood Rage,
Mm.
where over 3 phases, right, you are developing new skills and adding new abilities to your to what you're playing here. And then instead of sending out troops to Valhalla, you could be kind of deploying. I don't know, deploying yourself. I don't know if that even makes sense, but looking for presence in on different planets and things to kind of take
Mm.
control from other Sith. Again, coming back to that rule of two, to try and ultimately be the last one standing, and the most powerful force in there. And I just thought the way that Blood Rage sees you do really get stronger over the course of the 3 eras of that game, and you feel like you can do a lot more later. And I was like, maybe that would be a good fit to that like growing power of darkness instead of rage, right? It's
Right.
rage, so
Yeah. Well, it,
so
it could be
Genius.
interesting to just theme it around Darth Bane, and like everybody is a Sith Lord
yeah,
vying for ultimate
there
control,
you go. Yeah.
and you're trying to wipe them all out. Like that could be an interesting. Um, yeah, that sounds more interesting than the original game.
Whoa, whoa,
I
whoa.
like it.
Chris with the hot takes here.
I
Wrong
didn't.
takes, but hot
I
takes.
did not dislike Blood Rage. I enjoyed it. It's just not for me.
Oh, what is for you? That's my question.
So many other things.
All right, we've been talking for a while here, guys. We're creating our own trilogy length podcast episode.
Matt's used to going this long.
So why don't we hear this Mad Libs that we started the episode with? If anybody has lasted to the end here with us, then what a reward they have received here.
This is it. This is the greatest.
This is it. The greatest story ever told, I believe.
Before I read this, I would like to say two things. Number one, if you've made it this far, thank you, and we apologize that we're having a lot of fun, and we hope you're having fun listening. And if you've made it this far, either you're a glutton for punishment or you're enjoying yourself, and I hope it's the latter. And the second thing is thank you to those of you that did contribute to that segment. Having these questions with listener feedback is something we want to do more of in future episodes. So thanks for helping us get that started. And if you're out there listening, follow us on social media, follow Joel on social media so you won't miss out on opportunities to chime in for future episodes. With that said, let's read the Mad Lib that Joel and Matt crafted, titled simply Star Wars. Star Wars is a sparkly feather of Harry versus evil in a bathroom far, far away.
Hold on. Harry versus evil in a bathroom. I'm already concerned. All right, keep going.
It's going to go so wrong so fast. All right, so Harry versus evil in a bathroom far, far away. There are crowded battles between floppy jetpacks in mysterious space and reflective duels with buffalo called long-bearded sabers.
Yes, our dueling buffalo.
Does this smell like burnt hair in here? Long-bearded lightsabers?
Tomes, called droids, are helpers and thong sandals to the heroes. An opalescent power called the Palpatine flashes people to do bald things like posed Rathtars. The Jedi garbage men use the Force for the non-opalescent side, and the Sith rise it for the anti-constitutional side. Thus
There's
concludes
an opalescent side and a non-opalescent side, not to be confused with the dark side.
Yes, I kind of
got a real ring to it, you know. It just rolls off the tongue.
I didn't quite get the last sentence out without laughing, so I want to make sure I lost it. So the Jedi garbage men use the Force for the non-opalescent side, and the Sith rise it for the anti-constitutional side. So, Matt and Joel, what a fantastic story you crafted.
George Lucas was right. It's all about politics. The anti-constitutional side.
We didn't even know it.
It's also about floppy jetpacks and long-bearded sabers.
And was somebody in there doing bald things? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Well, that's Matt's what happens when you have a long-bearded lightsaber.
And Harry versus evil, we heard. Yeah, bald things in Harry versus evil.
An opalescent power called the Palpatine flashes people to do bald things like posed Rathtars. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Thanks. Well, y'all were concerned that it was going to be real weird and real bad, but it was great.
It was real weird and real bad, but it was great in that.
That's sort of the point.
Okay, sure.
Well, that seems like a good place to wrap things up for today. If you have enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's the number one way we can grow the show and bring you more Oak and Onion action. And if you want to learn more about what we're up to, you can follow Chris on Instagram at cpwilson_4.
And Joel is on Instagram and TikTok as the Diced Onion. And Matt, Why don't you let listeners know where they can find you on the online?
Yeah, Dice Camera Action is basically it. So I Dice Camera Action Pod on Instagram, and then if you search for the group Dice Camera Action, you'll find us on Facebook. And then wherever you listen to podcasts, obviously it's out there on Spotify, iTunes, etc. And that's where you'll find, obviously anytime I'm designing games, doing Kickstarters, whatever the case is, on that side of things, I'll be sharing tons on my social media. So if you want to follow my game design career as well, or path or whatnot, that's find it all at the same place.
Awesome. And please do follow Matt. He's a good dude and he's always got some interesting things to say. You can follow our Facebook page at Oak and Onion, and if you have ideas for show segments or suggestions for games we should play, or you just want to say hi, you can also email us at oakonionpodcast@gmail.com. I don't think we have any new listener mail this week, but we're also always looking for more to read on the show. You can also follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at Oak Onion Podcast. Until next time, keep your onions fresh, your cutting boards clean, and your table welcoming to everyone. We'll catch you next time. We're off to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
And other things. Oh.
Yes.
Failed to start recording. The following participants may be experiencing connection problems. I'm still recording.
Could be a long night.
He's coming back. Maybe.
Loading.
All systems go on my end for now. Yeah.
For now. Okay.
I had some notes here.
You froze up a little bit, Matt.
Yeah, and then I saw you guys freeze and that threw me off and I wasn't sure where we were.
This is going to be rough.
He's roboting so bad.
Yeah.
This is not going well.
Riding his coattails.
Riding Dice Camera Action to fame. That was a lot of tapioca in that one drink. Okay, we're recording now. May you please not screw up again. Okay, everybody good?
Me? Are you talking to me there?
No, I'm saying like the technological aspect of everything right now. Take 3, and our very special and okay,
that's going to be awkward.
It may not be, depending on what you say. I'll make it work.
All right, for 2 points.
Hold on, time out. I forgot to plug my computer in, and it's about to die.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things about it that I was going to say, and then I just completely lost my train of thought.